How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Big Day Dave, and this is another Farm Sim Talk. I am so excited for tonight's showing here because we have got us another YouTube content creator in the herd. Herd, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity to get on here and talk with you.
Oh, no problem whatsoever. Really glad to have you on here tonight. I see that we've got a bunch of people out there already and got quite a few little jokesters out there in the chat. So, hope everybody is having a fantastic day so far. I see Reaver Time Todd, Wrench Monkey, Rambo Hacker Gaming, Jaked Up. We got PA Plowboy, Crimea River. I want to thank every single one of you for coming out tonight and hanging out with us for the show. So, Farm Sim Talk, for those who are not aware, is a show where we get to talk to other content creators other creators within the Farm Sim community and get to just sit down and have a nice little conversation, do a little interview, and get to know them a little bit better, kind of behind the scenes. Not the person that we kind of interacted with in our day-to-day kind of goings on. So, Herd, let me go ahead and give you the opportunity to go ahead and let people know where to find you.
Yeah, there's not a long list, right? I'm on YouTube. I can't believe that I got this name, but it's just at the herd. That's the official. And yeah, that's where you can find me. I haven't really gotten onto many social media platforms yet. I don't know. I guess I'm just too lazy at the moment, but I will get there eventually. I will figure that out, and we'll interact with other people on the other social media chats. But right now, just sticking to YouTube, keeping that the official one, and yeah, that's where you can find me.
All right. And do you want to give any shout outs before we get going?
And yeah, they all paid me to say this, so I'm just gonna come right out with it. Just get my money out here. Rambo Hacker Gaming, L Family Gaming, FS Universe, Auto Sim Crew, Gold Gaming. There's just too many to mention. Jaked Up. There's so many that have influenced me, and really, I've most of the guys I just named, I've been in a chat room with for over 2 years, and we've really kind of helped one another out. So, in all seriousness, they all deserve their special shout out there.
That's excellent. So let's go ahead and get started in our first segment here. We call this Digging Up Dirt. This is a segment where we get to know you more personally, the person behind the screen. So, first question I got for you is do you have a job outside of content creation, or do you do content creation as your full time job?
No, I mean, I wish I could do it full time. But right now I'm actually in between jobs, only because I'm about to do a couple life altering things here for me. But I used to work at a sign company. I used to be a graphic designer. Used to do a couple other things. I used to own my own web design company. So, but mostly for the past 10 years, not entirely professionally, but part time, I've been involved in the pro wrestling business. So not as a wrestler, but as a backstage guy that you won't know. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been traveling the northeast part of this United States for the last 10 decades or so, or 10 decades. Yeah, I'm 100. The last decade, but yeah, not really at the moment. I'm going to be working online here. I'm probably in the next few months I'll have that job.
Excellent, excellent. So, if you had it your way, would you do this full time, or would you
Yeah,
want to
I
always
mean,
kind of keep it separate?
no, I mean, it's fun. I mean, obviously, no one wants to punch a clock. So this is a fun way to not punch a clock. And, I think it's really fun to wake up and be creative and, start a journey in a video that sometimes I don't even know where we're going, to be honest. And that's kind of the fun part. Like, it'd surprise a lot of people who might think that I'm a decent storyteller, just how often I don't know where we're going at the same time. So it's fun in that regard because I get to escape real life for a minute and kind of go into this other realm, like the series that I'm making. So yeah, I would definitely do this full time if I could.
And what kind of hobbies do you have? Do you hike, fish, do sports, watch sports?
Yeah, well, like you, a goaltender. So
Ooh.
I did play hockey for quite a while. And yeah, my hobbies often include, I mean, I did run a hobby farm because of this game. Um, So I've been involved with farming. I've been involved with pro wrestling. I obviously like farm sim, and if we're talking video games, I'm more of a sports guy. So I end up playing, college football quite a bit. But other than that, I hang out with my girlfriend. Do the other things that everybody else does to try to forget that we have to live Monday through Friday somewhere else, right?
Oh, absolutely. So
Yeah.
you said you're in college football. What team do you root for?
Yeah, so I don't know if this is going to be a good thing or a bad thing, because I always see you repping Michigan, but the Michigan Wolverines they take up way too much of my time. I can't even believe that that wasn't actually the first thing I said when you asked me about hobbies, because I'm always looking at the recruiting. I'm always looking at random high schools like a loser going, man, is that guy going to come to Michigan? And then he ends up not going to Michigan. But it's all part of the fun in the games. But yeah, definitely a huge Michigan Wolverines fan, both football, basketball, and of course, hockey.
Hey, go blue! Definitely,
Go blue.
I'm definitely right there with you. I actually
Yes,
grew up
sir.
in that immediate area. I was just outside of Ann Arbor. Went to the big house quite a few times. So
Ah,
I,
that's the pilgrimage, my man. That's the pilgrimage. I've got to get there. I do. Before I die, I have got to get to the big house. That's the number one thing. People have much more elaborate dreams and goals, and mine resides in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
well, the one bit of advice I'll give you is to make sure that if you go there on game day, get there insanely early because the traffic is nuts.
Yeah, I heard the parties at the golf course over there are pretty nice as well. I've got a list of restaurants that I need to go to. I've thought more about this than a lot of things that I'd care to admit to, you know. But, we've all got a dream, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, do you live far from Michigan or?
I am in New York, so I'm decent. The reason I like Michigan is because we got, believe it or not, every single Michigan Wolverines game since and I mean I'm 41. I've gotten every single Michigan Wolverines game since I have been old enough to talk. So it's a big Michigan area out here in upstate New York.
I gotcha. That makes sense. I mean, it's not terribly far away. You basically are just separated by bits of Ohio and Pennsylvania at that point.
Yeah, no offense to my friends in Ohio, but who wants that? I've got a shirt that says "Worst state ever" and it's Ohio silhouette. That's a true story, and they probably I just lost all my fan base in Ohio, but that's okay. That's okay. We speak our minds here.
That's right. That's right. So, what would you consider to be your favorite books, movies, or music?
So books, I guess I'm into the like self-help books a lot, like like The Idiot's Guide on How Not to Run in the Wall, like those kind of deals. I'm good with those just because I like to improve myself quite a bit. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Krasinski. I don't remember how to say his last name, to be honest. I'm not even going to try it, but I do like these kind of books, but I don't really read a ton. The movies, I like Boiler Room. I like the Mighty Ducks trilogy. You heard me. I like
Mm-hmm.
the Big Lebowski. So I mean, I watch some movies. TV, I'm more like kind of into Breaking Bad. I kind of like Vince Gilligan's storytelling. So um, shamelessly, I try to copy him a lot with my videos and don't do so well, or I would have a different zip code than I do right now. But we all try. And then music, I like, I'm anywhere from like Cody Jinks and country and Morgan Wallen to like Mac Miller and Kendrick Lamar to Modest Mouse. I mean, I'm really all over the map as far as music's concerned. I really do like music though quite a bit. More like facts and stuff than playing. Just, I think the story of a rock star is always fascinating. It doesn't really matter who it is. So I've paid attention to quite a bit of music over my life, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with all that.
I gotcha. And what about kind of the flip side of that question? We asked what were some of your favorites, but what's some of the weirdest or oddest books, music, movies, TV that you've seen?
So when I'm getting into a role play, I like to try to immerse myself in that kind of thing. I like to try to watch as many movies as I can about certain things. And when I was first starting out getting into role playing, I obviously in Farm Sim, you're the first person perspective. I mean, you can now play as, uh, overhead view of the character, but mostly it's first person. And I'm thinking to myself, like, there's got to be a movie that's been made where it's all first person. And there's like Lady, I think it's called Lady in the Lake, which is like a 1940s black and white film, and I watched a little bit of that, and it was kind of what I was looking for. But then I reached into a movie called Hardcore Henry, and this this film is incredible. It's shot from the protagonist's perspective, but it's almost like you're the star and you're living a life through the eyes, much like you're playing Farm Sim and you're living the life as a farmer through that perspective. You're doing that in that movie, and it's called Hardcore Henry. If anyone wants to watch that, because it's really interesting. The story's but the perspective and just the idea that you're watching this whole movie from one character's perspective, and that character, by the way, is a stunt double, so he's jumping over really cool things, and the classic, you're jumping onto a moving train. You see that, and you're doing that. So I was looking at that movie a lot because that's kind of the perspective that we have role playing in. So I was kind of trying to channel that a little bit. That's a crazy one though.
And if you were unable to create content, let's say your channel got banned or whatever the case may be, you're no longer able to create content, what would you do in its place?
Cry. No, I don't know. I really don't. I guess I would go back to just my normal 9 to 5. But in terms of if we're looking at Farm Sim as a fun hobby and things like that, I would probably just write, just because I like to tell stories, and I find like Farm Sim to really really help me with that part of my life. It helps me tell stories, but it also gives me a stage and a bunch of props to use to do that.
And has it always been a dream of yours to be a storyteller, content creator, or do you just kind of feel like you fall into it naturally?
I think I fell into it, not naturally, but I think I fell into the whole deal where I got into wrestling, and quickly it was us trying to tell stories. And I happened to be really fortunate in pro wrestling where I'd moved up to some pretty high ranking levels and gotten to talk with some really good, talented professionals that now work for WWE as storytellers and writers, and they call them creatives. They work for them now. I followed them around. I drove with them on the road for 5 years. I just soaked all that in. And and I've told this to close friends of mine on here, a lot of my storytelling, if you know pro wrestling, you'll find that if you follow my series, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I have a character named Sam, and man, did I really set him up to be like a liked guy in episode 1, and I knew exactly where I was going with it. I wanted him to be the hated guy, and so in order to do that, I did the classic pro wrestling bait and switch where I made him a really good liked guy and then turns right on you. So it's a lot of pro wrestling logic with my writing. I didn't, I've never really been in love with movies and writing like that, but I'm starting to fall in love with that just from all the research that I'm doing on it.
And you've mentioned how you were involved in the wrestling scene for a while. Do you mind elaborating what it was that you did for the?
Oh, yeah. So I got in, and uh, I was running this magazine for the city real quick, I'll tell you, and I interviewed this guy that was in pro wrestling, and that's how I got into the business. I went down to support him, and long story short, in independent wrestling, the lowest of low levels, because that's where you start. Upstairs at a karate studio, and like there's like 100 people there, and they're like, "Hey, our commentator didn't show up, and we need somebody else." And my buddy that I was there to support's like, "Well, he's funny," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not really that funny," and they stuck me on there anyway, and all of a sudden I stuck there for years. I've done commentating on television. I've done managing wrestlers. I've held a camera for pay-per-view events for like TNA wrestling and stuff. If anybody watches wrestling, I've done camera work for them. I've created stories. I've done everything really. picked up seats at the end of the night, picked up a ring at the end of the night, did manual labor. It's all there in pro wrestling, and I think if you stay there as long as I have, you'll end up doing all of it. Except for me, I'm not gonna get into the ring. No one wants to see that. I'm not gonna do that. But I'll certainly do all the other jobs that assist that.
So, is there a professional wrestler that any of us may know that you have actually met in person?
Oh goodness. Yeah, a lot of. Oh my goodness. I've met so many wrestlers over the years that I think that if you probably not even just to say, I mean, I think if you've seen them on TV in the last 3 or 4 years, I've definitely probably 80 to 90%. I have met them throughout the ranks. I'll tell you, I'll leave it shorter like this. The nicest wrestler I've ever, or the nicest wrestling person I've ever met was Jimmy Hart. He was a manager back in the 80s and 90s. Looks the exact same as he did back then. Super nice guy. Had really nice things to say about all the guys that came through, and stayed till the end of the night and picked up the last chair. I mean, this is a legend. So a lot of guys, though. Everybody that's come through the WWE. I used to work for Evolve Wrestling, so if anybody knows that, Tim Austin Theory has come through there. A lot of people, but yeah, I've certainly met my share of them.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but Jimmy Hart, the name sounds familiar. Did he go by the Mouth of the South?
Yeah, yeah, he did. He had a megaphone, carried a megaphone, and used it all the time. Was a bad guy, which was great, but honestly, one of the nicest people I've ever met. Not even in wrestling or out of. I mean, just nicest guy. Period. Super, super nice guy.
That's awesome. And so, what was one of the most wild experiences that you've had at the wrestling scene?
No, oh man. Uh, there was a. I've seen people get carried like away with security guards. I've seen. I'm trying to think, man. This is well, okay. So I don't know if you know who Marty Jannetty is, but he is a former tag team partner of Shawn Michaels. He was in the Rockers.
Yeah.
Hits on my girlfriend right in front of me. I mean, right in front of me, dude. And Marty Jannetty is out of his mind. So I kind of look at that as a compliment, to be honest. I know my girlfriend wasn't going for that. So I looked at that as a trophy, to be honest. And she slapped me because I said that. But that's okay. It's another story. Marty Jannetty, though, that's probably pretty wild. I mean, I'm standing right there. But yeah, I don't know. Other than that, like, just people getting carried out for being stupid, thinking that this thing's too real, keeping it too serious. It's like, man, I'm just here to waste a Friday and Saturday night and get paid a couple quarters. I'm not trying to fight anybody, but people do.
It's amazing in how into it people can get. Like, they don't realize that, number one, it's stories. It's a very elaborate story, but people really get into it. Like, I've heard stories of people like climbing over barricades to get at the people inside the ring, like all sorts of absolutely crazy things throughout the years. It's just, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I grew up watching all sorts of wrestling, WWF, WWE, the whole WCW, the whole nine yards. It was what, the Monday Night Wars and all that stuff. I grew up loving wrestling, as a young boy. I don't watch it that much anymore, but no, it was always fascinating just to watch, and the stories, like you said. So would you say that you were a big follower of like the WWF and WWE as it kind of progressed along?
It's really weird. Like as a kid, I was a huge kid, a huge fan as a kid. I did the normal middle school, high school thing where I decided the girls were cooler than that. So went the girl route, got out of the wrestling route for a minute. And I didn't even, when I got into the business, I wasn't even like, I couldn't even tell you who the champion is. Like, I was just kind of thrown into the fire, and they're like, here, just tell me what you see. And I just started talking, and my buddy's like, just be sarcastic. So I was, and the rest is history. Then I had to learn real quick, like, who everybody was again, but like as a kid, yeah, like, I used to go to, the local arena and see all the wrestlers and stuff. And that was like the biggest thing of the year, for me.
So when they put you on the commentator kind of side of things for the first time, were you like just completely oblivious to who everybody was in the ring, or did you have like
Oh,
a
yeah.
vague Oh, so you,
No, no, no. Like when you're in the lower levels, like you don't know anybody. Like they don't make TV. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, who is that guy? And I'm like looking at him and like writing down notes on the fly about who this guy is, trying to learn just what his name is so I don't mess him up, you know? And I'm trying to do that while also sounding convincing. Like I'm trying to push a story too. Like I'm getting their name told to me in one ear, and then the other ear, it's like, yeah, they're fighting because of this. And I'm like, oh, okay, who's the bad guy? And then I find out who the bad guy is. So then I start cheering him on, you know, because I'm always, as they say in wrestling, a heel. So I'm always a heel. I'm always the jerk. And then it's really easy to be a jerk. Um, it just you say stuff without a filter, and you just criticize what's in front of you, and hopefully you say it with enough wit where they'll want you back for the next one. And I did, I guess, for some reason. But I am a good jerk. I don't know. I've been called that quite a few times.
oh goodness, I could sit here and talk about wrestling for quite some time, but we'll go ahead and move along here. So, what would you think you were not very good at, but others would disagree with you?
What do I think I'm not very good at, but others would think I'm good at?
Correct.
Storytelling. Honestly, I'm figuring it out. Really. I mean, I'm learning as I go. I'm trying to figure out how to tell better stories. I'm trying to learn character development better. Honestly, if we're really being serious, I'm really surprised that that's like an attribute that people say I have. I think that they're okay. I think they could be a whole lot better, and I'm learning a lot more about a lot of different things. That I mean, I didn't go to film school. I wasn't looking to go to film school. Um, I didn't learn creative writing or anything like that. So I'm just kind of going by the seat of my pants as the expression says. But yeah, it's probably it. I feel like I could improve a whole lot more than I am, and I feel like I am slowly.
So you'd mentioned earlier that you have a girlfriend, and you mentioned that you're in between jobs, but you're moving into a new path. What kind of how do you come up with the correct balance of being able to be there as a boyfriend, be there as a kind of a worker and getting the bread made, and creating content? How do you find that balance?
I don't know. If you can tell me, I would be more than happy to write down all the things that you say because it's really hard. The thing I'm going to do is we just sold our farm. I had 82 acres in upstate New York. I had beef cattle. Did some chickens. Did all that because of farm sim, which we can get into a little bit or whatever. But I had a farm. I just sold it. I got a camper, and now I'm ready to travel across the United States and just kind of travel around and see what's going on everywhere. So that's why I'm in between jobs. I'm currently looking for one online. I've got a couple good leads, so I think I'll probably end up there. But um, I don't know, honestly, how to balance all this because I'm hoping that I have internet at the random spots that I go to. I'm hoping that I know what I'm doing. I'm trying to get really ahead of videos. I guess this is the answer as I'm working it out live on your interview. But really, I'm trying to get ahead in videos. And that way, I know the consistency is key. It's like for me, it's like I got to come out with a video every Saturday at noon, regardless, because that's when my subscribers expect to see it. And as a avid follower of both like Scruffed and Dagger Win back in the day and stuff, like I would get like antsy until their video came out. And I know I'm not at that level yet, but I want to make sure that when I'm prepared, or if I can be, that I'm prepared for it. And that's part of it. It's being on time every week for me. And if I get ahead of videos, I think that I'll be able to do that and survive that random night where, oh no, I can't get internet or something happened and my attention is diverted somewhere else. So I don't know, man. If you know, I'm willing to learn.
Well, it definitely sounds like Starlink is in your immediate future.
Yeah, I got the Elon net, so we'll be good. I think I'm open. I got the Elon net, so I'm hoping that we will not miss any uploads. But yeah, it's definitely it's definitely a concern for me.
So, what would you say inspires you or motivates you?
Um, I guess just like seeing the reaction to videos, whether good, whether bad, whether just telling me that you hate Sam in my videos, or if you're guessing what's going to happen. I really get a lot of pleasure out of that, only because it's kind of like interacting with my viewers, and I haven't up until recently been found in many chats, many like live streams and stuff. I haven't really embraced that part of the community as much as I should, only because just life, busy, work, all that stuff. I don't really have the time to do this, and now I do. I'm starting to embrace that a little more, and I'm starting to find that I like that. So I don't know. I don't know. But what was the question? I forget. I just mumbled off a little bit.
Well, so what were some things that inspire and motivate
Oh,
you?
what inspires me. So yeah, so I guess that was it. Was just like, the interaction between people and seeing what people think of my stories. Not are they good or are they bad necessarily, but where you think they're going or what do you think of a character. I that's kind of the win for me, regardless of what you think. At least I've gotten wrestling teaches you that it's never bad as long as you get a reaction. Like there's no reaction that's awful. The reaction that's awful is no reaction. So if I get a reaction, I'm happy.
I gotcha. Now, earlier you mentioned that you had bought a farm, and did you say that it was because of Farm Sim that you bought the farm?
Yeah. So yeah. Um so the story is like I'm sitting there one day on Steam. I'm looking for a simulator, and I often joke like, thank God it wasn't Flight Simulator because we'd all be in trouble. But I ended up finding Farm Simulator, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll just play this game." I don't know. I mean, I used to go out to a farm on the weekends. My dad grew up on one, and I didn't really get too far into it other than cleaning up cow poop and stuff and the troughs and stuff. But I get into Farm Simulator. I'll never forget. It was well, now that I say, I think it was Farm Sim 50. Was it? Did they come out with one in 15? I think it was 15.
Yeah, I
And
think I think there was one in 15 because it was 19, 17, 15. I think so.
yeah, that's okay. So it was 15, and it was like West Bridge Hills or something. And I remember looking at I swear, I remember looking at the cultivator for the first time, and I'm like, what is this thing? Like, I don't even like, is this a car? Like, what is this thing? And I just started figuring it out. And back then, man, up until this is embarrassing. Up until FS 17, deep in to FS 17, I was using keyboard only, bro. Okay, keyboard only. Do you know how hard keyboard only is? I mean, man, you really gotta like this game in order to play keyboard only. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm playing this game and I figure all this out, and I'm starting to like it. Now I'm starting to figure out that I'm playing this game a whole lot. And then some circumstances happen where it's not exactly my grandfather, but somebody in our family had passed, and we'd gotten a little bit of money, and we were like, "Hey, we're tired of this place because we were living in Philly, and nothing against my people from Philly. It's a great city, but I just was tired of everybody living above me, below me, left of me, right of me. I just needed to get out of that. And some of the new role play that I have on that I'm going to be releasing soon starts like that. And it's like, I feel it. It's so, I wanted to get out of that city. So we went to upstate New York. We got 82 acres. And the city guy moved out here, me, who I don't even think affectionately, but they called me the city it down at the farmer's market. I don't know if that was a good thing or not. I think the farmer's store was just joking. What do you think? Well, don't answer that. But anyway, I'm down there. I'm the city guy, and I just was really humble. I was just like, hey guys, I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm willing to learn. And we went through that for about 9 years doing that, and now we just sold because it's like I don't know. I'm 41. I think I bought this farm 20 years too early, only because like I don't. I still got some things I got to do. And this game is fun because you can put it down. But in real farming, It's all the time. That's 24/7. That's 365. That's out there in cold sleet, -20 degrees if you're in upstate New York, outside doing all that. It's not the controller button, it's not any of that. It's real life. And I mean, it's not too hard of work. It's just that you always have to stay there because they don't really make babysitters for cows. So you have to kind of stay there and you can't really go on vacation as much, you know?
No, absolutely. So, did you do any arable farming, or was it just the cows?
Just cows, just chickens. I had some ducks for a little bit. Oh, ducks are better observed from a distance. We'll just say that.
And
They are
why is
they're
that?
wet, muddy chickens is what those things are, okay? Oh my goodness, dude. And in winter and trying to get oh man, no. I love Darkwing Duck. I love the Mighty Ducks. I'm even a big fan of Scrooge. But we're not doing any ducks on no, we're not gonna do that again. Ever. Broiler chickens are very easy because they're so stupid that it's very easy to eat them. You know, I mean, I could turn a vegetarian into eating meat just on showing them off because they are just too stupid for life. So they're easy, and then the cows. You know, you fall in love with the cows, but at some point, goodbye has to happen. You know, Camp Freezer needs to be visited.
And did you mainly stick with beef cattle, or did you go with like a milking cow?
No, I cannot. No, we're gonna do beef. Okay. We're gonna, just that question gave me so much anxiety. You have no idea. Okay. No, we're just gonna do beef. Dairy is way too much, especially for a first-time farmer. So I ended up getting a couple Scottish Highlanders, and I got a couple Angus. And I was looking into Wagyu because I had a hookup for a guy with Wagyu semen up here. And wow, does that seem like it's really needs that's just weird to say, you know, it really is in an everyday life. But I had a hookup and that would have saved me a whole lot of money. It would have gained me a whole lot of money and we got out of farming before that could happen. We just decided that our dreams were different, you know, not bigger, not better, not worse, not just different. So we got out of it.
And it's amazing in how our priorities and our kind of lives shift, you know, from one decade to the next to the next. You know, we can sit there and be like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do for the next, you know, 5, 10, 20 years, however long. And then eventually you're like, you know what, it's time to refocus, it's time to shift. You know, and it's not a bad thing per se. um, Especially if you've got those kind of means to be able to make those kind of general shifts. So, you know, congratulations on your next step.
Thanks, man.
You were saying how you bought a camper and you're looking to kind of travel across the U.S. Are there any places in particular that you're looking to go, or?
Yeah, we're trying to hit every national park. I made the mistake of saying every state park, and somebody was like, "You're gonna need like 300 years." Yeah, yeah. Every national park, we're gonna try to get into, and try to visit for her dad who's passed. So, doing that in honor of somebody else is always a good thing. So we're gonna try to do that, and then I told her I'm joking, but I'm really not. Like, I'm just gonna try to hit all the farm sim maps. Why not? You know? And she's like, "No, we're not doing that. You know, I see you drive enough straight lines as it is. We don't need to live this in real life." And that's what she calls it, driving straight lines. But and I'm always like, "There's more to it." You know, I'm thinking about stuff up here, and she never believes. She shouldn't, honestly. I'm probably not, but I'm saying there's more to it than just driving straight lines. But yeah, I do want to go to some. Like if I'm close to a farm sim map, I'm going, dude. I'm going, and I don't care. Like, she's gonna ride through it with me, or I'll pick her back up. I guess I don't know, but we're gonna drive through it if we're close enough. If we're close enough to the UMRV, if we're close enough to McGregor, Iowa, or Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, you know I'm hitting that spot. I'm definitely there.
No, absolutely. And as long as you're not pulling off what just happened here recently with Oxygen David and his map, then I think we'll be kind of good to go. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you heard about all that, but it, yeah, needless to say, it wasn't a good thing.
No.
So
No.
So, is there a particular place that you're looking to try and go for first, or are you just kind of playing it by ear?
Oh boy. Okay, so our last cows that we had on our farm, I made a deal with my girlfriend that we would keep them alive. So we didn't kill them. And I'm like, send them wherever. And she's like, we're gonna send them to a sanctuary because, oh, I forgot to tell you, my girlfriend, the one that co-owns a beef farm with me. Oh, you know it, dude. She's a vegetarian. So this is like a sitcom. This is like a sitcom. I'm realizing, but she's a vegetarian, so she wasn't too prone on all of it, but she did it, and I made a deal with her. I said the last cows we'll keep them alive. So we sent them to this sanctuary in Illinois, and I still get Snapchats from my cows. That's a real statement. They send Snapchats and stuff to me and Instagrams and stuff of stories of the cows, and my girlfriend gets a big kick out of it. So we are gonna go there to see the cows for her, and I wanna put in some hard work, man. I really do. I want to just give them some free labor and spend a week on the farm and just give them all I can, because honestly, it's fun to do farming. That's the thing that I miss the most is all the work. Everybody, it's funny, like when you sell a farm, they're like, "Oh, the work was too much," and I'm like, "No, the work was everything. It was so much fun to do it." So I want to go out there and help them out. They're a sanctuary, so if I can help them out, that will be fun, and it'll be a win for me and hopefully a win for them.
That's awesome. I've never actually heard of a sanctuary in that regards. That's actually really cool.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness, dude. I spent over like $2,000 trucking these things from New York to Illinois just so that they could live as grass puppies. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? What's one of those moments where it's like, what am I doing right now? But hey, you know what? Happy wife, happy life, right? So I just make sure that the girl is happy.
So, one of
I've
the
learned.
things I very often say on this channel is you're building up hubby points. Now, you said that she's your girlfriend, so you're building up boyfriend points at this point. And it sounds like you had to cash in a lot of boyfriend points to have your vegan girlfriend, hanging out on your beef farm to then one day make a promise to kind of pay back those spent boyfriend points. So definitely, you can definitely
Yeah,
see
my
how all
soul, my
this
my
kind of.
soul was sold a long time ago, dude. A long time ago.
Uh,
Oh man, no, a
so
long time ago.
so what's one of the things that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
Um, I don't know, man. That's a hard one. Now, I knew you'd get me with one of these things. I guess like in my real life, I'm really sarcastic and I joke around a lot about a lot of things. So a lot of people don't really like. I guess they didn't really equate me to being serious about some things. Well, my one of my best friends died, and
I'm
we
sorry to hear
started
that.
a hockey. Thank you, man. And we did a good thing. We started a hockey charity in his name, and a lot of people, I guess, they're surprised that I had the ambition or the management skills to get this done. But we ended up reaching out to all these NHL, NBA. I mean, I don't know if you remember the HBO show Entourage, but I
I've
used
heard
to
of it.
watch this show. Okay, so I used to watch this show. It was about an actor in Hollywood and just details, man. I look on the computer and it's this website that says who reps it. And I'm like, let's just see if this is a real website. So I go there and it's a listing of everybody in Hollywood's agents. Now you got to pay a subscription fee. It's pretty minimal at the time. So I pay the minimum subscription fee and I get all of these contacts for everybody, anybody, dude. I don't want to name actors or anything, but if you've heard of them, I've got their contacts, their agents' contact, music, everything. So I just one weekend just sent everybody a mail. Hey, we're running a charity tournament. Really cool if you sent some stuff to us so that we could auction it off and yada yada. And my buddy was a hockey player that lost his life in a car accident, and we ended up supporting two teams worth of kids. The money would go to the money would go to the kids. It'd be in a foundation for the kids so that they could play hockey. Because you know this as a goalie, I know this as a goalie. But even if you're just playing a regular position in hockey, it is uber expensive. It is so expensive.
For sure.
And for people like me and you, even, I mean, we've got goalie pad. I mean, there's a lot of things that we've got to add on to this now. So I wanted to, in the spirit of him wanting everybody to play hockey, to always share hockey with everybody. Just, I'm like, it'd be awesome if we could just get all these like underprivileged kids and kids that, didn't have enough money to spend, which would have been me as a kid. Get them pads and get them playing hockey. And we ended up doing that. We ended up sponsoring overall 6 teams. We raised over 50,000. We did a lot. We even got a check from Wayne Gretzky himself, which was the icing
Wow.
on the cake, dude. The absolute icing on the cake. I was like, yes, Wayne
Oh,
Gretzky. Now
that's
we're
incredible.
official. Official, like a referee and a whistle, like a badge and a pistol, like an architect and a chisel. I'll stop, but official, bro, official. And I'm like, that, they kind of cemented us. So I think a lot of people are kind of surprised that I was able to pull all that off, not because it was some huge feat, but because I'm just always a jokey kind of person. And that takes something, that takes sales calls, that takes serious venue management and all that kinds of stuff. We ended up running a golf tournament and stuff like that. So we did really well. I couldn't have done that without all of my friends and everybody there. But I think if I told somebody that after meeting me and hanging out with me, they'd be like, "Really?"
That's incredible. I mean, no, number one, getting the great one involved. I mean, that definitely is a whole new level kind of stuff, and it's incredible how through tragedy you're able to then turn it around and make something so beautiful. I mean, that's fantastic. By chance, is this
Thanks, man.
still active charity or?
No, like we ended up doing it for 3 years, and then like what it was, and we never really anticipated this, but it was like they never said this to us, but I know his family was kind of looking at that as uh like a number, like, oh wow, it's been 3 years since, and it's like, let's not do that anymore. Like we could remember him certain ways, and then other people started leaving that were crucial to helping because dude, it was like almost like a half a year that we'd have to plan ahead of time. So we ended up doing 3 or 4 years of it, and then we ended up doing a couple bowling tournaments, and then we were like, all right, this was fun, it was awesome. Team Paul A was what it was. I got a tattoo on my uh on my arm. I was trying to think of like what I could say like to make it a cow reference, but I couldn't come up with it in time. I'm not that good, guys. I'm not that good. I'm not that witty, but got a tattoo, got a branding iron, right? I got a tattoo of Team Paul A on my arm, so he'll be there forever, and I'll remember that forever. So very cool time.
Well, like I said, I'm sorry for your loss, but it sounds like that you really made something extremely positive out of such a negative scenario. So it's one of those that even though your friend can't be here, to be with you, it definitely I can definitely see him looking down at you and being proud of being in your life.
No, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
So, do you have any pets or?
Yeah, so I did have a dog. He recently passed about the same time my other friend's dog did. So my boy Charlie and Hank chilling up there in the sky forever. He knows who he is. He's in that chat there. I won't throw him out, but yeah. So yeah, I did have a dog. We ended up going to South Carolina recently. He died of cancer. Not to be too sad about it. I'm not really. I mean, I'm sad about it, but I'm in a position now where I'm in a really good spot. I'm remembering him in a good way anymore. I remember. I don't remember what. I think it was your interview with Farmer Sim, but you were like, yeah, when you get a dog, somebody told me you're setting yourself up for like the worst day, and it's like, yeah, that like hit me when you said that, bro. Because I'm like, I feel that on an intimate level now. I really do. But they're all so worth it, man. The dogs are amazing. I'm always a dog guy. Definitely not my first rodeo with saying goodbye to one. You just learn like they teach you a lot about yourself. So it's really cool to have a dog, and hopefully one day, hopefully in a couple of years, maybe, because my heart's ripped out at the moment. But I'll be able to get one again. I definitely, like you, I am, and I've always been a dog guy.
You're right, because it's amazing on the kind of uninhibited love that a dog, just pets in general, that they'll give to you. It's really kind of breathtaking when you kind of take a step back and realize that, there's this creature out there that all they do is live for you, kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And you also get that with like with children and the whole nine yards. But dogs, like especially dogs, they're like at a whole different level. Your whole world, their whole world is revolved nothing but you.
Yeah, yeah, and
And
we got him from a pound, so like, he's like super happy to just be out of jail kind of thing. Like, what did I do to be here in this little cage? And then he goes to a farm, so he loved me, not because of me. I mean, yes, he did because of me, but I mean, he didn't have a chance. He got 80 acres to just run, and he was a big boy, so he was American Amstaff, it was like kind of a bull mastiff type look, big boy.
hmm yeah,
So yeah,
that's a big dog.
he was the farmer. He was the farm's employee of the month every month. It was ridiculous, man. He was employee of the month so long that we just had to shut it down because the other employee was my father, and it wasn't going well at home. It was creating somewhat of a rift between the dog and the dad. So we had to get rid of it just for company morale, you know?
I hear you there. So, who are some of your favorite creators outside of Farm Sim?
Okay, so outside of Farm Sim, sorry, that was the cough button there. Outside of Farm Sim, I pay attention to a couple different people. I used to watch Casey Neistat. I don't know if you know him, but he is a vlogger. He is very good editor. His editing skills are top notch. And I really try to, see him. But then also there's this girl, Natalie Lynn. She's like a 19-year-old girl. She gets in a van. She travels the country. It's the same, the story's the same, but the editing, the framing of the episodes, they're incredible. I'm really just studying her films, to be honest. She's so good at what she does. I mean, that I just end up looking at that. And for the new role play that I've got going, that I haven't released yet, but I've really tapped into a lot of Natalie Lynn's content and feeling and vibe. She's from Portland, Oregon, so she gets that. I guess like for music, like the indie folk, kind of, just uh, really organic kind of feel. And organic by means of like nature and stuff, like just a really cool. And I'm trying to set that scene. So I'm trying to pay attention to other creators like that who really frame episodes well, who tell good stories so that I can kind of learn something from them. And those two are two of my favorites, I think.
I gotcha. And then, what about inside the Farm Sim community? Who are some of your favorite creators there?
Yeah. So, Daggerwin brought me to the dance. I know it's a cop out to give a big creator, and I'll give some other smaller ones in a minute. But Daggerwin really brought me to the role play dance. Started watching his stuff on FS17, and I'm just like, this guy's really good. Like he tells a good story. I'm interested, like it's a a show, sometimes even more so than it's a television show. I'm looking for, I don't remember, to be honest, what day he released. I think it was like Saturday and Sundays and stuff. And I would just be like, I can't wait till Saturday. And then after Saturday's episode, I'm like, man, I wish it would just keep going. And then like he released one Sunday, and I'm like, this is great. And then I started looking forward to that every weekend. So Daggerwin is definitely somebody who's a big inspiration of mine because he brought me to the dance. Rambo Hacker Gaming, I've mentioned all these guys before, but Rambo Hacker Gaming and L Family Gaming have helped me out so much through all this. Got great content, so you should definitely get over there and check those guys out, both their live streams and their videos. When I go to time lapses, I go to FS Universe. He's awesome. Auto Sim Crew, I check him out for his roleplay stuff. And of course, Gold Gaming, I think is probably my favorite streamer right now. I'm always going to his stuff. And a stream is good when you don't want, and a video also is good when you don't want it to end. and I got that a lot from Gold, because it's a really cool environment that he's got over there. So everybody's really good, like you said about the farm sim community, and he's just another example of that. So yeah, get over there and check out Gold's stream as well. And Gold, I will be collecting that money, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it many times on this channel that FarmSim has one of the best communities of individuals, not just the creators, but just the people within it. It's just an absolutely incredible scene to be a part of. And yeah, absolutely, go check out everybody that was just mentioned there. They're all fantastic creators, and yeah, it's just incredible to see what everybody in the community is up to. So let's see. You know what? We're gonna get to the dreaded question. A lot of people kind of stammer and whatnot on this one. But
Oh, good.
if you can meet three people in history or currently in real life, who would they be and why?
Yeah, this is the big one, isn't it? Well, um, let me think here. Man, why you have to ask this question? This one's a tough one, you know? Really, it is. I was picking, full disclosure, when I give myself some time to think, I was picking on you about somebody else's answer, and I'm like, man, this is gonna be me. And yo, here we are, aren't we? I guess DJ. Honestly, these aren't my huge like. These aren't going to be names where it's like, you know, John Lennon or like there are people that probably would be able to help me now. Like I would like to meet DJ modding. DJ is great. DJ Goham, I should say. Sorry. I think that he just has a really good channel. He's got a really good vibe, and I think he's tapped into farm sim pretty good. I would like to meet like creators like that, and maybe not just specifically him, but people that are bigger than me, so that I can like kind of learn from them. Right. I would love to do that. You know what's a funny one? I would love to meet Corey Hirsch. And you're like, who is that? Corey Hirsch was a goalie, and he played in professional leagues he played for the Rangers back in like 93. Well, I was supposed to meet him, and the day before I was supposed to meet him for my class project, he got traded. So I would like to meet this dude at least once so that I could fulfill my quest of interviewing Corey Hirsch. That's not a real great one, but I am really searching here, bud. And then the third one, honestly, I don't even have to search. Is Jim Harbaugh, because he has made my life so incredible in the past couple of years, man. When your blood is literally maize and blue, and you're looking for that championship, and you're hoping that just in one time, after all of the heartache, after all of everything, just once in your life, you'll be able to see it. And I did. He brought me to Happy Town, dude. That in football, that was Happy Town for me, man. I was beyond excited. And really, honestly, it did lift me up a little bit there. So honestly, I really don't have a top three, but those are three people that I would definitely not say no to.
No, absolutely. And the whole reason why I asked that question is not to try and trip up people or to kind of get them, kind of stummering or stammering or anything like that. It's to kind of see who it is that they would feel has value to their life. And it's one of those that a lot of people have to sit there and think. And I think it's the easy answer to throw out, like, oh, Gandhi, or so on and so, like,
Right.
all these really big names that don't have necessarily a big connection to you personally, outside of they've done great things. But the answers like what you've given and others have given in the past are more kind of personal and kind of lets people kind of know, the things that they actually hold kind of true to themselves. You know what I'm saying?
No, I dig that, and a good question makes you think, and that definitely made me think. And honestly, to give you a real good one quickly is Vince Gilligan. He is the director of Breaking Bad. I love how he produces episodes, and I've just honestly, man, I have tried to copy him so much that I just want to hear from the real man himself. Like, let's just talk to me a little bit about how I can make things better, because I'm gonna copy you a little bit, so might as well tell me how to, you know.
No, absolutely. And the last question I have for this segment is, what was your first paying job?
My first paying job. I was 16 on the dot, and I got a job at a tent rental company. And this tent rental company was like, they put up like 30 by 40s and 40 by 40 foot tents, like at the fair. And the first day that I did, we had to go to a car lot. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, where are we going to put the stakes in? Because we have like this big hammer and these big tent stakes. And they're like, yeah, right there. And they're pointing to the asphalt. And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, we're just going to pound this into the asphalt. We're going to put this tent right up here in the parking lot. And wow, that day was fun. Let me tell you, that I didn't need too long of an introduction to say, work. This is not a good thing. I do not like this. This is not the stuff I signed up for.
It's that
I just
kind
want
of
the money.
it's that kind of job that makes you want to find the easy button really
Oh
fast.
man, yeah, that thing was nowhere in sight. I'll promise you that.
No, no. Uh, so I've my father, he's done heavy construction equipment mechanic for many years. Pretty much my whole family has just done nothing but hard working labor. My grandfather was a farmer and did that for pretty much
Heck
his
yeah.
whole life. So, hard work has always surrounded me, and I've used that as motivation as to try and figure out how to make money with my brain rather than money with my body. Because I now can look at each one of these individuals as they're now in their, later parts of their lives and see their bodies are all torn up. My father is a perfect example of, he's always got a bad back, he's got bad knees and all that stuff. So it's one of those, like I said, you want to find that easy button as quickly as possible. So
Yeah,
it's
and that's a lot like wrestling, right? Like I'm not going to get in the ring. I'm not going to do all that crazy stuff. Like I'm
hmm
not doing that. So I'm just going to learn how to figure out how to be involved with the business and not get involved like that. In the same way, like use your brain and it'll be a lot easier for you physically, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, let me ask one follow-up question. Going back to the wrestling, one thing that I've always heard is that there are people out there. Oh well, it's fake. Oh well, it's fake, and it's not untrue. What they're saying, but I've heard and I've seen like behind the scenes kind of things of the wrestlers themselves, really getting upset and really getting angry at somebody who just kind of blows it off and saying, "Oh well, it's fake," and I almost feel like it's a kind of a two ships sailing past each other in the night kind of thing, to where when the person says it's fake, it's not that they're saying that the effort that's being put into it is fake. It's that the kind of story is all kind of predetermined kind of thing. And to where the wrestler is upset because they're putting their bodies on the line. It's like they're actually hitting each other, punching each other. It might be toned down to some degree, or whatever. But it's one of those that I just feel like they're kind of talking past each other. Have you experienced anything like that? And is what I'm saying kind of, somewhat accurate?
No, yeah, absolutely. It is. There have been wrestlers that have been sued for punching reporters. David Schwartz back in the 80s did that. Now, the whole genesis of all that is it's called kayfabe, and back in the day, people didn't actually know that pro wrestling was fake, right? Like they didn't know that it was predetermined, and you know, I think the anger kind of goes with the wrestlers trying to protect the business, or in this case, what they call kayfabe, which is protecting the business from being exposed for being predetermined, right? So people get angry at things like if you were to say, "Hey, Herd, your face is kind of looking like a cow, bro." Well, I'm gonna get mad at that because it's true, right? Look at the picture, right? People get angry when things are true about themselves, and I think like when somebody says it's fake and you're trying so hard to protect the business, it frustrates you and angers you because it's like, no, this is exactly the opposite of what I want to happen. Nowadays, it's more out in the open. People know that it's predetermined, and the crowd is oftentimes in on the joke. There's a lot of times where the wrestlers will talk about backstage stuff in the ring on TV, and half the people, or now as it's getting to be more, three-quarters of the people will understand that joke because it's more viewed like they're actors now, right? It's not like they're. That's why I cringe when they're on ESPN, when they're on Sports Center. It's like that's not your. Don't pretend to be something you're not. You're not a sport. Like you are an action movie, um, and just be that way. You're an action movie that's on a stage, really. So it's relevant in terms of it used to be very protected. Now it's not so much. It's kind of out in the open now.
Yeah, no, and that's always what I've kind of heard and what I kind of understood, but I just wanted to make sure that was all kind of, you know, at least with your experiences, somewhat accurate.
No,
But
you're absolutely accurate. Absolutely accurate. That's caused a lot of wars, believe me.
oh, and yeah, and I've heard of, the wrestlers getting sued because, they'll actually like, oh, does this feel fake? And they'll like deck somebody or,
Oh
whatever the
yeah.
case may be. And I forget the person that, like, off the top of my head, because I'm thinking of one specific instance
Yeah, yeah.
where,
David Schwartz. He ended up hitting clocking that reporter in the back of the backstage there. He just knocked him out cold, dude.
yeah. Yeah, and he basically said, did that feel fake? And then walks off. And
Yep.
and yeah, it's just like I said, it almost like how do I say this? It was almost as if, like I said, that they were just kind of talking past each other, like they didn't necessarily understand where each other was coming from. But what you're saying too also, kind of fills in the gap as well, because it makes sense that like there's an image that needs to be protected, and almost as if that might be a small price to pay in order to keep that image alive, kind of thing. But then eventually it kind of got let go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I mean, like, you don't look at Johnny Depp and think he's a pirate, right? Like, I don't understand what's going on with all that. I really never have. Just appreciate things for what they are. What they are is, it's like, it's like right in front of you, like God's playing with action figures. You know what I mean? Like they're jumping up and down, they're using each other to hoist each other up in the air. It's basically like a circus act in a way. And, it's a carnival act, is where pro wrestling came from. So just appreciate it for what it is. It doesn't have to be real. It doesn't have to be this guy really does hate each other. Just come enjoy the show. And if you don't like it, don't come back. That's fine. It's very easy to do. But I think a lot of people would be surprised at how fun it can be if you don't take it too seriously.
Oh yeah, and like I was saying earlier, it's incredible in how uh, into the world that is created that people can get into it. I've heard of many instances where people have actually like rushed the stage, rushed the ring to try and get at the wrestler that's going after the person that they like so much, and it's
Oh
just
yeah.
it's just a crazy thought that people would be so into like the story that they then feel that they have to interject, kind of thing. It's kind of crazy in a way.
It's wild. Like we used to do New York City, and right after we did the Brooklyn show, we'd go over, and it's New York, so everything's open all the time. We'd go up at like 3 a.m. to this like ramen spot, and this is when I worked for Dragon Gate, which is a Japanese company, but they brought over a USA conglomerate, and they did Dragon Gate USA, and we went over to eat the ramen noodle place, and like these people would get so into it that we'd have to sneak into the back of the ramen noodle place because we couldn't have anybody know that we were there, or they would bombard it. And it's not me that they're looking for, of course. They're looking for the people that I'm with, because we brought in some pretty big names, and some of these people are just you see you see the crazy side sometimes. I guess this is the best way to say that.
No, absolutely. And I'm sure, just like with anything, there's going to be those people out there that get too into the world that's being created. So, you know, one of these days, people might recognize you and be like, "Hey, it's the herd. Let's," and kind of go from
Uh,
there. So,
I tell people this: if you're gonna see me out in the street, I'm gonna be a lot like Marshmallow. I'm gonna have, just like this picture would suggest, I'm just going to have a cow head on me at all times. And you're not even gonna be able to. That's a real thing. Is like I didn't want to like reveal myself because not because I'm scared of doing it. Believe me, I've been on TV more than enough, but it's more just for the wrestling and stuff. But more when I started watching some of these creators, I got in my head of who they were. And as you're watching my content, I don't do any let's plays. I do more role plays. So you kind of have to just like reading a book, you can kind of illustrate your own person to what I look like. Everybody has their own idea of what I look like because they've never seen me. Now, I think that's good because I think it helped me be more immersive in the content because I didn't know who the other person on the other end was. And maybe that's just a me thing, and it likely is, as I sound crazy. But that's kind of why I don't do that because I want you to envision what I look like from your own end because it's not about me. It's about the content that I'm putting out, and that's likely why people always ask me like, "Oh, are you going to do a live stream? Are you doing a live stream?" And it's like, maybe if I get maybe if I get a cow head, maybe I'll do that. I'll put the cow mask on and get on live stream. But other than that, I don't think so. I seen that question in that chat. I just figured I'd clear that one up for you.
Well, I tell you what, if you do a live stream with a cow head on, I will absolutely be one of the people in the crowd just just to see it.
Well, now we talk about motivation, right? That's one of them.
Oh yeah.
You telling
Oh,
me that?
yeah. Oh, I love it. All right, so that is the end of our first segment there. So now it is time to kind of go through and see what people are talking about there in chat and answer your questions. So the very
Oh
first
no.
one I have, yeah, I know. This is where things get kind of wild.
Well, I see the guest list that you have here, and let me tell you, this is it could get interesting.
So first off, I want to thank Dust Bunny for sending me all these questions. Dust Bunny, thank you so very, very much. Greatly appreciate you, and you are incredibly helpful throughout all these streams. So first one is from Rambo Hacker Gaming.
Oh no,
Say
no.
that five
No,
times
we're not
fast.
taking these ones. We're not taking these ones.
No, not gonna do this one.
No.
So actually, you actually just answered it, so that one's good.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Next one from Gold Gaming. Let's see. The Herd, what is your favorite wrestling storyline you ever wrote?
Oh man, this is a good one.
Yeah, it is.
So there was this one guy who was
Ralph Fanning Jonah donated
it's not I guess it's a storyline.
through Super
We
Chat.
had this storyline
Don't
going on
worry,
between these
I
two
wear a
wrestlers,
cheeseburger
and they
racket everywhere I
were
go.
not liking each other, and it started getting more personal and more personal. And we started talking about like we were talking at the time when we owned this company about like fan immersion. Like we always had these fans waiting outside of the venue, and they would always just talk about wrestling. They'd sit there for a half an hour in the cold or whatever. We try to let them in, but we couldn't until a certain time. So they'd all be bored, right? So I told these two wrestlers, all right, look it, you come from this angle, you come from this angle. We're going to act like you guys are getting to the venue. And we had a couple of these people hooked on this. And I'm like, we're just going to act like you're getting to the venue at the same time. And you guys see each other and you just start talking crap to each other. And this is all for the benefit of the people who have already, are just waiting in line to come in. So this is like a show before the show. So we just have them fight out there. And long story short, the whole segment is blown up, and I'm involved in this because I'm an interviewer. So I'm trying to interview this guy. Somebody cracks me in the back with a chair. That's the first time and only time I've gotten hit with a chair. And man, let me tell you, man, that feels like 15 to 20 lighters just going off in your back all at once. It's a fun time to get hit with a chair. But I got cracked with a chair. The cops ended up getting called because some people thought it was real. We had to explain it to them, and that was the day that the Herd and the day that the Herd's wallet found out that you should probably call the cops and alert them of such activity first so that they don't come and so that you don't get a fine for calling them for no reason. So that was fun. That was a good storyline. Great trip down memory lane. Usually ends up with me with less money, and this story's no different.
That would definitely be a very interesting storyline. I wish I would have been able to catch that live.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh man. All right, so real quick, Rambo Hacker Gaming with the $2 super chat very early on said the countdown timer is too slow. Yes.
I think it was going just fine as I sat here nervous before getting on here. So I'll disagree with him again. He can't
Oh,
say something I agree with. I promise you.
well, we'll see. There's plenty of time still to go. Let's
He's got a
see.
chance.
Rail Fanning Jonah with the gifted membership. Jonah, thank you very much for that. And also the $5.99 or $4.99 super chat says, "Don't worry, I wear a cheeseburger outfit everywhere I go." Which is true. He's not joking
Jonah's
about
the
that.
hero. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I could manage that. I really could. Jonah, hit me up if you want to see the stars, my friend.
Let's see. We got the next question from Whiskey Creek Farms. Says, "Have you ever been carried out?"
As part of the show, or no, no, I've never been. Well, I've as part of the show, I've been carried out, but never in real, never like for real. I've never been hurt or anything like that in wrestling. But I have been carried out of a show before, not as a fan. I've never done that. However, I do know some people who have. Gets into the crazy people again, but no, never been carried out of a show unless it was part of the story.
Okay. Next one from Nacho Cast says, "Question: So are you
Nacho!
so are you an Eagles fan?"
Oh no, please don't. Listen, the city of brotherly love is an incredible place to be. I recommend that everyone that listens to this goes to the city at least a couple times. And I know I see a couple of these chats going sideways. They don't know what they're talking about. However, the team was awful. I hate every Philly fan. They're just so bad. I can't even like them, and I've lived there. I like everything about Philly except for the sports fans. But as I like almost everybody else, it was go Eagles this year at the Super Bowl. That's for sure. We can't have Kansas City win. I can't have that happen. Not under my watch. So we ended up rooting for the Eagles, and I ended up being in Philadelphia the day after. I'm happy to report that my car's fine. No smashed windows. Nothing's good. I survived. I checked it on Facebook. I survived the Super Bowl party in the middle of the street. We were good. Everything was great, but no Philly sports.
So, as a U of M fan myself, I grew up watching Tom Brady. Have been a Tom Brady fan for a very long time.
Oh yeah.
And it was one of those where I was actually on the side of rooting for Philadelphia this year simply because of them potentially having a record that Tom Brady didn't have. So it was one of those that I was really kind of hopeful that the Philly Eagles would come out on top, and thankfully that happened. So I was pretty happy with that.
I was actually hoping for an asteroid to hit the stadium. That was the other Vegas odd, but I couldn't go for that. One team had to win. That was like the worst Super Bowl, really. I can't even begin to describe to you how little I actually cared when one of the teams won. But go Philly, I guess.
I know it's hard to say that, right?
Very, very hard to say that.
So
these guys booed Santa Claus on Christmas. I mean,
yes.
Gosh, they're awful.
As a tail end of that question, Nacho Cast also said, "Also, thanks for the sandwiches."
Oh yeah, the Philly cheesesteak, always a great addition. One time, a worker was walking by a truck, a food truck, and or I think it was like a little deli at the time. Said, "Make me what you got." The guy threw together some roast, some shaved beef, and provolone was actually the first one. Threw that together. Said, "Hey, let me know how you feel." Came back next day. I ordered it. Told all the guys. The rest is history. Great sandwich. I've been to way too many Philadelphia cheesesteak places. And before you ask, D'Alessandro's, if anybody's going, is definitely the best. I'm not ready to argue. I'm just ready to tell you the fact.
Oh, I love it that you're just with authority saying go there.
Yeah, I'm stomping on throats over here, okay? I'm very serious.
Oh, goodness. Next one we got is from Gold Gaming. Gold, thank you so much for your question. Says, "Heard, when are you asking her the big question?"
Oh, boy.
Coming out strong there.
Man, I'm so glad. I'm like 2 hours from her right now. So this is a safe answer. She said today, yeah, can I watch the show live? I said, no, we're just taping it. We're just taping it. It's not live or anything. So he's gonna release it some other time. So I'll get the edited version. I'll edit this question right out of there. So thanks for giving me some more work, Gold. Nah, I figured it's pretty quick, honestly. It's gonna be soon. It's gonna be on the road. Since I'm unemployed, they tell you to, however many weeks of your paycheck you have to put into the ring. And since I don't have a paycheck, I'm just gonna go buy I'm gonna go buy a little simple ring. I'm gonna solder it to a dime. I'm gonna call it a diamond ring, and we have got that all figured out. No, I'm just kidding, but I don't know. I have to figure this out at some point. But Gold, stop making me think.
So, I'm sorry, I got to compose myself because that one, I knew right where you were going with that the moment you started talking about it. It's one of those that every once in a while something is telegraphed so well, but it's because of just the individual that's telling the story kind of thing. That
I'm
was
just trying to tell
pretty
you the
good.
truth, man. I'm just trying to answer these all truthfully. I don't know.
All right, let's keep on searching through here. Again, Dust Bunny, thank you so much for sending those in. Let me just do one quick scan here to make sure that I don't miss any. Let's see. Couple of how are you doings. All right, I think. Yep, no, that looks to be everything. So now we can go ahead and move on to our second segment. This segment's called The Meat and Potatoes, emphasis on potatoes. This is the segment where we get to know you more for your content. So, first off, tell us the story behind your name.
Yeah, so the herd, I can't believe, first of all, I cannot believe that I got this name. It's not the herd with a bunch of numbers. It's not, it's just the herd. But I was listening to Colin Cowherd, which is funny because like that's who I thought would have this username. And I really do enjoy Colin Cowherd's show quite a bit. So I listened to him quite a bit. And they were talking about something and they said his name. And I was right in the middle of trying to figure out a Facebook name. And I was like, well, if I'm really trying to get together a group and, what's a group in farming? It's like, well, and I look out at my cows one in the morning and I'm like, well, there's a herd. That's a group. And I'm like, that's it. I'm just going to call myself the herd. And I wanted it to be short. I didn't want some really long name. I just wanted it to be like really short and snappy. So I did that. And then I came up with the cow and the sunglasses thing just to not be too serious. And just hopefully give myself, again, I just told this to somebody this today. Everything in life comes back to pro wrestling. I don't care what you're talking about. I could make an example as how it does. And in this, no different. It came back to pro wrestling. I'm like, I need to make myself a gimmick. I gotta get myself a character, man. Like, I need to do something that has a catchy name and hopefully a catchy logo so that people remember me because there's so many people out here. It's going to be hard to distinguish me from anybody else. Now, the problem is you can't search me that well. The Herd Farm Sim or the Herd FS will get you there. But if you just type in the Herd, all you're going to do is get some analysis on some NFL quarterbacks. So that's a drawback. But at the end of the day, I really do like the name. So I'm happy to stick with it. And, it's a problem that I got to deal with. But if I just continue, my whole philosophy is just, if you continue to make better videos, more people will come. And I'm just, I'm hoping to just put my head down and focus on that more than, my searchability or anything like that.
No, absolutely. And it's one of those I find that you eventually start rising up to the top. You might have some competition, whatnot, like you were mentioning there, but it's one of those that people will find you one way or the other. But
yeah, I think so.
So one of the things that I keep hearing in the background is, how do you come up with the stories that you tell? And it seems like, the kind of influence from the wrestling scene really kind of played a big part. I'll kind of change this around ever so slightly. We were talking about one of your favorite storylines that from earlier. Now, focusing on your channel and the stuff that you've produced up until this point, what was one of your least favorite storylines?
In wrestling.
No. For your channel's aspect.
Oh, for my channel's aspect, my least favorite storyline that I've ever created. I guess, when I first started getting into this, the first video I ever made was a role play. And I don't know if it's arrogance or if it's just stupidity, but I'm really not that disappointed in it. I thought it was a pretty decent showing for me in my first one. I have a lot of cringy videos I could show you that I've made, but the first one just seems like it's okay because I spent so much time on it. And I'm like, oh, this is going to hit, man. This is good. This is a really good original story. You know what my original story was? It was one that Gold Gaming has got an incredibly funny video out on his page of, hey, I inherited the money from my grandpa and blah, blah, blah. And it's like 42 seconds of just like the most like, oh my God, this is the most stereotypical role play ever. And this is the one I thought was genius. And I'm like, this is the one I thought was genius. You seem to think at the moment that it's really good, but then when you look back at it, you're like, man, that was kind of played out, or wow, I really took the easy way out on that one. So now I try to think a little deeper than that. But for the first one, that's what it was. Gramps died. And, wow, look at that. Her just happened to get all this money. What a believable story that is. It was more than $1 million, believe it or not. And instead of just going and buying a basketball team, I ended up buying a bunch of work on a farm. Yeah, that's believable. I don't know, man. We've all come up with our stinkers. I think that's one of mine.
So what's funny is in the previous Farm Sim talk that I did, we actually discussed this very same topic that pretty much every single creator out there has pretty much done my grandfather passed or my uncle has passed and now I've got their farm or now I've got a bunch of money or whatever the case may be. I've done it. You've done it. Pretty much every single person has a storyline in which they actually kind of, just inherited some vast amounts of something.
Well, it's kind of like music, right? Like if you have a band, you got to write a song about a girl and then you got to name it after her. Like that's just the rule. So it's like with Farm Sim, if you're creating content, Gramps got to die at some point, man. He's going to get knocked off real quick and he's about to give you all of his riches. I don't know how grandpas have made so much money. But geez, I would like to be born in that era.
Especially making so much money farming.
I mean, I've done this stuff before. I don't know if that's entirely realistic. And I don't know if I'm the only one that would say that.
So on your channel, do you only produce farming sim content or do you work in other games as well?
No, just farming sim content, just role plays. Nobody wants to see me play a Let's Play. Like, believe me, I have tried to do all kinds of things. I'm really, and I get back to a question before you said, what's something that somebody wouldn't believe or whatever? And it's like, I'm really not that great of a player at this. And like, I feel all my friends being like, shut up, dude. Don't talk about yourself bad like that. But really, my strengths are role plays and stories and angles and filming. And it's not getting 180% of a value in a field. It's not about cultivating this right thing. It's about, I play Farm Sim because I see it as a tool to play with to make stories. It's a stage with a bunch of props. And in order to play like that, you can't really spend a whole lot of time just playing the game. I've heard some other people that you've interviewed. Well, is Farm Sim your favorite game? It's like, well, yes and no. I don't really play it all that often, as sometimes I hear people, and I agree with them. I don't really play it all that often. I create with it. It's a tool. It's kind of like how some people play The Sims, and they're like, hey, I can pretend that I'm somebody else. It's like, this is kind of what this is for me, only instead of having a kitchen and a dining room and all that other stuff, I just have a field and a barn. And honestly, I find it to be a lot easier to use creativity when you have less.
Oh, absolutely, because you are the creative vessel at that point. So you're having to come up with all these creative solutions to be able to tell the story that you want to do.
Exactly.
So you said you started playing the game in FS15, correct?
Yeah, FS15 is when I started exploring the game firsthand. Yep.
And when did you start actually creating content for it?
Yeah, FS 2022, man. I was never really thinking I was going to create content. I hear some people that get on the show, and I love this show, by the way. Let me just throw out a plug real fast for you. This is just an incredible show, and thank you so much for everybody that you've put on here. You're really doing a really great thing.
Well,
And I got
thank
to
you.
say that we have the same microphone and the same little Russian hat on top of it. So I'll tell you, man, we're doing things good. I feel like I'm actually doing good because I'm the same as you, not the other way. But I do want to say that that is awesome. So what was the question? I just wanted to make sure I fully promoted you there because it needs to be happening.
Well, I'll be honest with you. You stroked my ego too hard, and now I can't remember.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm gonna do with her when I
Oh,
ask her the question. That's the goal. I'm just gonna daze her out, and then she's gonna say yeah somehow. And be like, all right, that's good enough for me.
oh my
You
goodness!
know?
Now I'm trying to remember exactly what the question was. Um, oh, so you started creating content in FS22. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
so you started playing FS15, and you said that you found it on Steam, correct?
Yeah, I just was browsing, seen wow, how does a farm work? So just started playing it.
Okay, so I know like a lot of other creators and a lot of people in general be like, "Oh, well, I just watched so and so and they were playing this game and made me want to check it out." Kind of thing. But it sounds like you kind of organically just kind of came across it and it just kind of hit something with you. Can you kind of pinpoint what it was that kind of made you say, "You know what? I'll download this."
Man, I half joke, but honestly, I'm so glad it wasn't Flight Simulator. I would not have wanted to be a pilot and do that route. But really, the farming thing, it was just like when I was a kid. I mean, I grew up in upstate New York, so I'm driving past all these farms, and some of them are going out of business as I'm talking when I'm young to my dad. And I'm like, yo, why doesn't this one farm work with the other farm? Like, it seems like they're getting the same thing, petroleum, fixing equipment. They're both cow farmers. At that point, I didn't know what that meant, but dairy or beef, whatever. I was just like, why are they not like I just wanted to learn the industry a little more and kind of figure out that answer as to like why would that not be possible? And even after owning a farm, I still don't really know why it isn't. But I just wanted to get involved in farming and see how everything worked. And I thought, wow, what a concept for a game where it's a sandbox type of game where there's really no like boss person to beat. I know a lot of people that play this game play games like that where there's a boss level to beat or something like that. I've never really been competitive in that regard. So I find it to be really calming and relaxing. And as I played it, the more I found it to be more calming and relaxing. And I think that's where the main draw was. And because I was getting that calm and relaxing feeling, I was able to learn more. And as I learned more, I started becoming more interested. Then I could play the game, and then I started worrying about the money, and then the rest is history. You start playing the game and really kind of get the bug.
I gotcha. And then, what is one thing that you never expected when you started your channel? Uh, like the some examples I give are the sense of community, any unexpected backlash, things like that. What's something that happened that you never expected to happen?
Yeah, people started liking it, and like not in like huge droves, but like there wasn't like my like to dislike ratio has been very high over the history of it, and it's not because I think I'm the greatest creator or because I'm making the best videos. I think it's more a testament to how friendly this community is. I feel like this game, because it doesn't, and I might be wrong, but just how I feel, this game for some doesn't have a boss level. Because of that, you can't lose. And because you can't lose, it is very calming. And in life, sometimes, not to get too deep, but we all suffer setbacks. We all suffer bad days. We all have different things that go wrong in our life. And I think that this game, for me, when I play it, brings that sense of calmness, brings that sense of I don't have to lose today. I don't have to try to fight somebody and try to go all in on trying to defeat the monster so I can get to the next level. Like sometimes I just want to, as my girlfriend says, drive straight lines and just zone out for a minute, man. And I think that this game offers quite a bit of that.
So one of the things that I always say, the reason why love this game as much as I do, and it sounds like your girlfriend might be the same way, but my wife, she says, why do you like this so much? Why how is it that you can spend hours doing what it is that you do? And it's because, and I tell her, it's like, I sit here and I work 40 hours a week, and at a minimum, I've got two small children. I've got you. I've got a house to maintain. I've got a yard to clean. I've got, all this stuff to do that's, the hustle and bustle, the adulting kind of thing. This game just lets me turn off my brain and worry about the procedure. And that's it. And it's one of those where you're able to just kind of get into the zone and just kind of calm yourself. And it sounds like that's pretty much what you're saying as well, is that you're able to just kind of turn off your brain and kind of go with the flow kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also gives you a little bit of time to think about things too. Like I tell her, yeah, I'm driving straight lines, but I'm thinking as I'm driving these straight lines, okay, this is the things I have to do next. So I have to do this, that, and the third. And it kind of keeps me a little bit organized in my brain and gives me a little bit of practice that way of keeping tasks in my head where it's like, okay, yeah, I remember that I got to do these three things. And then sometimes you forget, right? And you're like, oh, and that isn't really a loss as a boss level, but it's like, oh, heard you, idiot, like, and it's kind of like a private moment where you lose, but you can laugh at yourself too. It's pretty calming like that. I do enjoy it for that aspect of it.
Well, and based on what you've told us here tonight, coming from the background that you have, you've kind of gone from a very kind of intense, and I would even say a high stress kind of a position with the wrestling and for however long that you were there for, to now you are able to kind of, go to the complete opposite end of that spectrum to where you're kind of you're being creative and you're having to have your own stresses for your channel and whatnot. But it's one of those that the stress isn't coming from the platform that you're working with. It's coming from, okay, well, what can I do next kind of thing. Does that
Yeah.
kind of line up?
Yeah, it's internal. It's internal, the YouTube, the stress. Whereas wrestling is external. Wrestling, I like to equate a lot with comedians, where a lot of comedians and a lot of wrestlers are the same people. They're the same types of people, where they've had a troubled childhood usually, or they didn't get a lot of attention. And this isn't everyone, but this is a lot of them, really. And they don't get a lot of attention. And I only tell you all that because there is a completely different psychological game when you're trying to convince somebody who really wants to win this match that they're going to have to lose this match. There's also difference in telling somebody that they're going to have to do this storyline when they don't want to do this storyline with. So that's all external. That's a lot of stress. That's going in and being like, man, how am I going to talk to this person and convince them to do this? Whereas internally in Farm Sim, I'm always wondering, what's the story going to be like next? I'm always worried about where the story's going next. I can't tell you how many episodes I've made where I've completely scrapped the entire thing after being completely done with it. And I mean, my episodes take quite a bit of time to like edit and write and research and stuff, and I've just scrapped them all together. I mean, if you watch my show one time, this didn't really happen because I scrapped it, but at one point in the history of my show, Justin, my ally, my friend, found himself in jail. And I thought to myself, no, you're jumping the shark. And by jumping the shark, it's a whole Happy Days thing where Fonzie jumps the shark. And they're trying to make Fonzie really cool, right? So they have him jump the shark. And then the series was never the same. It's like, I can't believe it. Fonzie's cool anymore. This is unbelievable. So I feel like I kind of jumped the shark there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm ultra sensitive about how people feel about my show. I want them to feel how I want them to feel. That's That's the puppet mastery of it all, right? That's the pro wrestling booker in me coming out. I want to take them to this destination, and if they don't think that that's a real destination we could have arrived at, well, then I failed, right? Because I haven't set up the story enough, and I haven't done enough supporting things for that character to realize, oh, that could really happen to him. And I didn't feel like I did that with the Justin character, and I put him in jail. And I thought, this is jumping the shark. This is too far. People are not going to believe this. So I scrapped the entire episode and started right from zero again. Somebody I seen ask, do I write a script? I definitely do. They're multiple pages long, and that day, that one went into the recycling bin and was deleted, and I just started over because you can't jump the shark. That's the number one rule. And if you do, so that's the internal struggle versus the external struggle of YouTube versus wrestling.
Absolutely. And we mentioned that you picked up FS15 on Steam. Now, for those who are not aware, Steam being a PC, basically game downloading site, have you always played all your farm sim on PCs, or have you gone to consoles at any point in time?
I started out on console. Well, I started out on PC and console. I bought the game both, and I started buying it on. I bought it on Steam first, tried it out a little bit, and then I went to the console. And the console was good, but I didn't like that there wasn't as many mods, and that's when I started getting into more mods and downloading them. So I've played on both, and just to support the game, I've bought on both. Every year, I've bought the PlayStation version and I've bought the Steam version just to kind of support, and just in case I ever wanted to play the console version, which sometimes I do, but lately I haven't because I haven't really been able to play the game recreationally versus, creating content. But usually I buy them on both.
And how much of your day would you say consists of making content?
Whether it's writing, which usually it's really hard to put a time on this because it's like start and stop, but probably a few hours of writing the script. What I do is I write the script and then I go through it again, and then I go through it again. And I will continue at zero and start reading that script all the way through. And when I find one thing, I don't just keep going. I start all the way at zero again and try to find more. I'm like, well, I might have missed something. So that's my long, tedious process of script writing. And then I have to go through the dialogue of each character and write out the script for what they want to do. I don't write a script out for when I'm talking, but I do write a script out for when everybody else is. So it takes me quite a while to do that. As far as gameplay, it doesn't really take me as much. Editing is what takes me all the time. And another thing about something that probably people would be surprised at, especially given what I just told you, I have been in my history. I mean, I've called pro wrestling like in an arena, like in front of people. And for some reason, I cannot seem to record a role play in front of my girlfriend. I don't know what it is, man. I feel foolish. I can't pretend that I'm somebody. It takes me to a vulnerable place sometimes where I have to be like kind of emotional in it. Like if I'm like feeling sad about something, or I try to I guess it's just that I'm not as comfortable because I'm not as confident in my ability to do so yet. But I wish I could just show her the finished product before, because, man, there are so many outtakes of bad audio that you'd have no idea. Man, oh, man. And it's bad. So I have to go to like another room, close a door, close her door. So there's two doors in between. It's bad. It's really bad.
So is there is it that you think that she's like would judge your material like before you're able to put out the final product, or do you think is it all in your head kind of thing?
No, it's all me. She's super supportive. She's like, you idiot. I have headphones on. I won't even hear you. Like, it does not matter. And then she's tried to be like, I don't even care what you're saying. I'm like, man, well, you don't have to be that. Too far. But But no, she's been super supportive. I don't know. I just cannot figure it out. I've recorded Let's Plays in front of her because it's my voice, but when I go into a character and I don't know, I just can't do it. I wish I could because I'll tell you this, and this will probably surprise some people too, but if I could talk in front of her, I'd probably come out with 3 videos a week. Probably
So,
would. Three
so,
videos, 3 role plays a week.
so I can collectively hear all your fans screaming at the screen right now, telling you, "Figure it out, figure it out."
Yeah. Yeah, I wish, man. I'm trying. I really am trying.
So, what would you say is your most favorite map of all the FSs that you played?
I knew this question was coming, and I got a good answer for you, but it's not exactly accurate. There is a map on, I think it's FS17. It's a European-based map, and it has a city in it. There's like 180 little fields, and the reason that I bring this map up is because it is my favorite. I have forgotten what it's called. Wow, some favorite, huh? But I have forgotten what it's called, but it had a lot of farm fields that were like surrounded by trees and things like that. And I'm like, man, this is cool. Like just a little, really small field. I mean, small, like somebody's yard small without the house small. Like, and I just love that little getting into a little nook or cranny of a farm field and just trying to make something of it. So that was cool. But I guess if I have to come up with a right answer, I I would feel really irresponsible for not saying UMRV, for not saying Green Valley, Nebraska. Um, I just think that that DJ modding makes the kind of game or kind of maps I want. When I'm looking for a map, first thing, is there a town? If there's not a town, I don't know if I can do it because I really need to play off of those different stores, Main Street, different things like that. I need to play off that so that I can make up a background or a backstory about Al's Hardware or whatever. I think I don't think that modders realize when they're making these games just how important to some people the name of that company actually is on that building. It could be anything, but what it ends up being is very relevant to me and if I like that game. So I'd say UMRV. I have a series on it right now. It's The Farm. It's been my longest series, I think, so far. My second longest series is my first series, also DJ modding, Green Valley, Nebraska, which was a really fun role play that I did. That's the one where I was really, really stretching my creative mind, and my grandfather died and left me some money. But his maps are excellent. I love them.
And what would you say would be your least favorite map?
Oh man, forestry. I don't have one of them, but I really don't like to cut trees up in this game. Well, I should say that the trees don't like me to cut them up in this game. Not fun. Not fun for me. Not fun in real life, as I figured out, and not really that much more fun in the video game itself. So I would have to say anything that revolves around that and doesn't have at least one field or at least a little area where I can make something.
So, has there ever been a time when you were, let's say, in between series and whatnot, and you're sitting there, okay, I wanna pick out the next map and the next kind of role play and all that stuff, and you've gotten to a point to where you're like, okay, I think this is the map I'm gonna land on, but you get into it and you're like, okay, this wasn't as everything it was cut up to be. Has there ever been a moment like that where you basically had to scrap an entire project?
Yeah, and it's awkward. It's really weird because it's my biggest video. Yeah, it's my top video. It had like 14,000 views. It was from Elk Mountain, and there is absolutely no shade towards Elk Mountain, towards the map. It was great. I love the map. Recreationally, when I played it just for myself and it's fun, I had a great time playing that map. But when it came to role plays, which is what I do, the town was big, but it was just not hitting right for me. And I think it was more kind of me than the map. I don't think that it's really a technical problem where it's like, oh, he didn't make a good map. No, he did. It was just that sometimes when a song's on the radio, it can be a dang good song, man, really good song, and sometimes you just don't like it. That's kind of where I'm at with that map. However, no shade whatsoever because I do love that map and I hate to use that as an example, but I think it was just kind of a relationship thing. When you look at a map, you'll have a relationship with it. For me, if you don't have screenshots of your map, I'm out. I'm not going to download it. That relationship's killed. But if we can kind of look at each other and be like, hey, I could try that out. That'd be okay. Let me try it out, and then it doesn't work. That's kind of it's not really a testament to a bad map or a bad person. It's just sometimes that didn't work out. That's kind of where that was.
No, absolutely. And the reason I asked that question, the least favorite, it's not to, like you said, to throw shade or anything like that. It's a more kind of personal, because basically what this game always boils down to is how the individual who's playing it feels about it. So the reason I asked that is because I've had personal experience with my channel and making a very, very poor decision on how I picked a map. I ended up playing on Alma, Missouri, and did a whole series on that and decided, oh, I'm going to do everything in first person view. It's going to be fine. No big deal. It
Oh
was
yeah.
one of the, I won't say the worst series I made, but it was one of the most difficult by far. Spent way longer on every single episode that I think I've ever had to do. And it was just one of those that by the end of it, I was just slogging through. So I loved the map, but it would be my least favorite for an actual like interaction for content purposes because it just was so involved and whatnot.
Yep.
Again, love the map, and again, no shade to it whatsoever. It was just the interaction between, taking off my personal gaming hat and putting on the creator hat kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it's a huge difference. Yeah, absolutely does make sense. I entirely agree with that. It's a difference when you're trying to tell a story as opposed to, hey, I'm just trying to bale some hay and get this field done, and no one's watching. So yeah, I very much agree with you.
Well, and it also really depends on the style of game that you do as well. Like you said, you do more role playing and not so much let's plays. So that really does involve a whole nother level because you're getting the story involved and doing all that. So your interaction with a map is going to be different than that somebody like myself who does let's plays. It's going to be different from somebody who live streams. And that's kind of why on my channel I broke out the Let's Play series to two separate maps. One to be on the Let's Plays, towards a more kind of story-driven kind of aspect, and then the live streams, which is more the just kind of going around and having fun kind of thing. And it was one of those where now I can play those Alma Missouris or those styles of maps where they're absolutely monstrous because I didn't want to give
Yeah,
those up kind of thing.
right.
But at the same time, I don't want to spend 4, 5, 6 days on a single episode,
Oh.
spending 5, 6 hours a night trying to get it done kind of
That's one
thing.
of the things I learned about this game, and it was from LFG, L Family Gaming. Dad, he's like, man, you don't just. I was like, I asked him, I was like, I respect him as a creator, and I was like, what can I be doing different? Like, what do you see in my channel? Like, what's different about like, what can I do? And he's like, well, for starters, you don't do enough in an episode. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you do too big of fields. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, stick to the smaller fields and you'll get more done. And I'm like, that makes so much sense to me. And it's just something that I just needed to hear for a long time. And yeah, that totally makes sense. Like people want to see progress. They want to see things. These big ones, like for Alma, I think are perfect for live streams where you're sitting there trying to interact with the people, says the person who doesn't live stream, right? But, where you're interacting with people and you don't really have to switch the field as much because those things are, I mean, ginormous, ginormous.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes sense that you were saying earlier that you kind of preferred that one map from FS17 that was a lot of small fields and one big town. For your style of play, that makes the world of sense. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
then you get like UMRV where they have the UMRV is from McGregor, Iowa, and then you cross the Mississippi River and you get to Prairie du Chien. And Prairie du Chien is a smaller town. Um, and you can do so much with that. Then you go over the Mississippi River and you're into McGregor, and then you've got all these like, I mean, they did so well. They did Iowa State on one side, they did Wisconsin Badgers on the other for a hotel. I mean, I know that map intimately, like I get my post mail there. But I mean, it's a great map. He did a great job, and those little details, they definitely matter.
Oh, absolutely. So, and the funny thing is, you say the details matter. It's not even just from a creator standpoint. It's a from a individual standpoint, just somebody who's wanting to play the game. Details really make a map, and sometimes you get to that point where you're like almost lost in the game itself because there's so much going on. You almost overwhelmed at some point.
Yeah, the immersion's really great, and yeah, the more details, the better. It kind of puts you right there, and yeah, I agree with that 100%. Details are everything. They're things that you don't really see, but subliminally you do, and that's why you feel like you're there more.
Exactly. So if you had the ability to pick any map from any FS that you've played up until this point, and you could just snap your fingers and boom, it's here in FS25, which map would it be?
Oh my goodness, UMRV. I don't even have to think about it. Like I am such a UMRV stan. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. When I got on here, I was telling people like about my appearance. Man, I don't know these mods. I hear everybody else talk about, they name a tractor brand followed by a bunch of numbers, and I'm like, wow, that sounds great, but I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that mod is. Um, so I was really, really scared about talking about mods, but as I come to it, I'm really just finding out that I'm just a DJ modding stan. He does great work in the modding community or mapping community, whereas for role play series, because I've just got so many things to play off of. I did 20 episodes at UMRV and didn't even get by to talk about all of these different businesses that he's put in, and there's such a variety that I can go have tacos, I can go over to a real estate office, or I can just catch a high school football game. Like that's all in those games, and it's just it adds so much immersion to my role plays because I can talk about the high school football game when I make up like a radio show or like a DJ in the beginning. I do that sometimes, and he'll talk about the football game, and I can show the football field, and it just makes it so much better. So yeah, DJ modding, I'm finding out now. That's my guy.
So, of the maps that have been announced up until this point, are there any of them that you're kind of really looking forward to?
I really haven't paid attention. And here's why. I don't really play a lot of maps. I got on Riverbend because FS25 just came out, and I said, okay, well, I need to make the switch immediately, which I thought everybody would just be like, oh, I don't want to watch FS22 content. So I moved over faster than I wanted to. Um, I love Riverbend. That I know is such a lame answer, right? Because like it came with the game and it's a base game map, but I do like the style of that. I also like the what's the other one there? The Asian map there. For the city. I
Hutan
use that.
Pantai.
Yeah, Hutan Pantai. Man, I'm never gonna say that without assistance. I will never remember. When it rains, the neon lights. I remember Farmer Sim talking about that, and I was just like smiling ear to ear because I used that in a couple scenes. I'm like, yeah, I've already got that down. Great, which validates me because I think he's a great creator. But just the scenes that they put in for role players is cool. I know that's. I mean, we're not gonna plow down Main Street in that map, so I know that they put it there so that we could role play a little bit. And I do thank Giants for that. But as far as the other maps, I'm really not sure. I do know that some of my friends are all about, Alma and Comsden, which is now, I forget, Oak something, I think. But yeah, I don't really follow the maps all that much because I don't really get to play a lot of different maps. I'm only playing the role play. I'm only using this game 90% of the time to tell a story. and I can't just go on a trip and a flight to a new map because I just wanted to, get on a flight and have a vacation. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do that. So I don't even tempt myself with what's coming out like that because I'm like, I'm never going to be able to play it. So it's fine.
I gotcha. So, has there ever been a time where you've really struggled to be creative for your channel?
Oh, every day. Uh, every day. It's tough. I will have such writer's block. I will sit there. I use Open Office as an editor, and I'll just sit there with Open Office on, and I'll just have the fully immersing my screen, and it's just fully taking it all up, and I'm just looking at that vertical line blink at me with just nothing but white behind it, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know what's going to go on. So then I start going to Google and trying to find other role play series and just looking at those and just seeing what they did or just kind of watching stuff. Yeah, every day, man, it is a struggle. And every day you kind of have to know your characters better. And I'm trying to do that more. I'm trying to learn, well, what would Sam do in this situation when I'm not even on the computer, just to try to make it a little stronger and always think, because if I'm not always thinking, I think I'm always going to have writer's block. I'm always afraid of that.
So, walk us through your kind of creative process. Do you have kind of a start and end already kind of predetermined? Or do you just kind of organically just, here's the start, here's the next phase, here's the next phase, and just see where it goes? Like, how do you plan out a typical series?
Yeah, so long term, yeah, I just see where it goes, sort of. I have an idea. So with the farm, I have this. The farm is a story of a guy who took over his grandpa's farm. Yes, but he didn't make all this money. He just ended up taking it over and inheriting a problem where the corporation Agmax, this was a bad company, comes into the UMRV and basically runs him out of town because monopolies and big corporations and such. So, where was I going? Crap. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
So, when you're creating your writing process, like when you're
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
going through the
Okay.
story, do you have like a beginning and end kind of determined, or do you
Yeah.
just kind of let it
Sorry.
naturally flow?
Yeah. Sorry. So in the long term, I don't. I try to see where it's going. I know that the company is going to put a lot of pressure on the smaller company, and it's a simple dynamic of David versus Goliath, right? It's a small company versus a big one. So I know where it's going to go there. In terms of per episode, yeah, I get out the editor, I write. I have a set number of scenes that I want to do. I know that that's the fun part right there is the editor, is the writing, is the coming up with the script, coming up with what's going to happen in this episode, coming up with, am I able to turn this guy this way, or am I able to make them think this so that they think that later? I do a lot of that. I love that. That's just wrestling dying hard in me. But I love that process. And then once I get that down on paper, then I'll go play. And I will play, but here's the thing, like a lot of people probably don't know is a lot of people play with a microphone and play at the same time. I don't. I play the entire scene and I will then voice over 100% of my content after I've recorded it all. And you go, well, that's a lot of a waste of time. It's not. What it is it's allowing me to do 50 takes of voiceover so that I can get it right. So that I don't say, so that I don't tell you something that's not true. So that I don't give something away. So I'm able to take the sound of the game, the birds chirping, the tractors, whatever, the ambient sound, and be able to not have to make it perfect when I do the voiceover the first time. Instead, I just play the game and then I'll edit and voice over all of it later on. After I do that, that's the episode. I'll put some sound together. I'm really big on sound design now. The farm episode or episodes are kind of before I've learned sound design, but sound design is very important for immersion. And sound design is really just adding sound effects and making the user feel like they are in the situation. things that you wouldn't think about that aren't in this game. When you open up the truck, sometimes it doesn't make a crash, like a noise where you'd open it up, like you push the handle, the button in the handle, and sometimes it doesn't feel like, it just doesn't feel right sometimes. I'm learning that the more sound you put into this game, the more immersion there will be and the more realistic it will feel. So I've added that to my process as well. And that's the last part is the sound design.
So, be honest with you, my brain is kind of breaking right now because I take the exact opposite approach. I talk and record at the same time, kind of thing. So, hearing you say that you actually play the game, don't say a word, and then do a voiceover after the fact, it's kind of melting my mind as to how that would actually work. But I'm highly, highly impressed because, like I said, I just can't imagine how to do that. So,
Yeah. I can't imagine doing it the other way because I feel like that'd be too much going on in my in my brain. I'm like, man, I'm trying to play this game and I'm trying to remember the lines and I'm trying to remember what I'm telling them in the story, and it's like that's way too much. So yeah, I've always done that. I've always done that. I have never had a microphone and a controller hooked up at the same time while playing ever.
so so you would obviously have to have it to where you're kind of you've got the story and the lines and all that stuff kind of already worked out in your head. So you how do you get the timing just right? Do you always tend to like over record and then trim it down from there, or how does that aspect work?
All right, so I'll really go behind the scenes here, right? So if you watch one of my role plays and I'm talking to somebody, you'll realize that at some point, 99% of the time, I will have a shot where I'm not moving the camera and nothing behind me is moving either. No particles in the air like you see sometimes in Farm Sim. No clouds moving across the sky. You're literally just looking at like a tree that's not moving or something, okay? Like not the leaves, like the bark or like a house, like the side of the house. It's inanimate. It's not moving. So I will film 10 seconds of that at least. Well, why do I do that? Because that helps with timing. What I can do is I can clip that shot and make it longer, shorter, anything, so that I can get all of my pieces worked out properly. Because if it's not moving, if it's inanimate, the viewer is not going to see that you've copy and pasted that same clip over and over and over again. All they're going to see is that you're standing there looking at a house because the house isn't moving. So there's no animation to tell your eye, hey, that's where that was cut. There is no cut. It's like taking a photo of the Mona Lisa. It's always going to be that picture. She's never going to smile more. It's just going to stay there. So if I just film that, I can make that last 20 seconds. I can make that last 3 seconds. I can make that last as long or short as I want. And that is how I line up everything.
Okay, and that makes so much more sense now. Like I said, my brain was literally melting at thinking like, how does that work? And I appreciate you kind of letting us, behind the curtain kind of thing. So typically I try to shoot for a 2 hour show. We have exceeded that. We are now 2 hours in. I do have more questions, but I want to be respectful of your time. So if you're available to continue, we can. If not, then we
Sure.
can start wrapping this up.
Yeah, man, I'm just sitting here shooting the breeze with you, man. So yeah, whatever you got.
All right. Oh, awesome. So yeah, we'll go ahead and keep on going for a little while longer. So what was one feature when FS25 was being announced and they're kind of slowly drip the whole kind of letting us know all the features and stuff like that. What was the one feature you're like that's going to be a big one for me?
The fog, very easily the fog. When I am so invested in this game visually, I saw the fog and I thought, man, how easy is it going to be to convince the viewer that I'm really having in my series. I always drink Red Bull. I don't drink coffee just to be a little different. And it's actually a touch to my real life. I'm drinking a Red Bull now. I don't drink coffee, but how easy is it going to be to have a Red Bull on the porch in the morning and make them believe that this is really morning. Yeah, see, you got it. Because the fog's gonna be there and the dew's gonna be there, and it's just gonna be so much easier. And then I was like, I played it and I was like, ooh, that's some that's some like Tennessee Hills fog, man. Like I can't see my hand in front of my face kind of fog, man. That's a little much, you know? And I was like a little disappointed in it too, but I was really excited when they announced that because I'm like, oh, visually that's a grand slam, you know?
So, as you are a PC player and you're so visually driven, uh, now I'm a console player, so I have yet had any experience with this particular mod. But there's a mod that's supposed to like affect the seasons and makes the fog more dense, makes the like does all sorts of different stuff with like the weather itself. Is that one that you've invested in and actually downloaded and use?
I need to look into that. I got power tools. I've gotten that. I didn't know honestly that that was out. I'll have to look at that. Because in FS22, my number one mod was Easy Dev. The Easy Dev tools. I've got so many things that you can switch from what's in your cart to how, or what's in your trailer to how full your trailer is, to spawning things, to weather, to time, to lighting. I mean, it's just, if you're looking at Farm Sim as a stage, that's your lighting department. That's your props. That's your everything to make it more immersive. So I cannot wait for that to come out. But I did not know about the weather. Oh, I think I did. Yes, actually, I did know about the weather. And they were talking about how it makes the snow so deep, super, super deep, and the fog really, really dense. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't really think I want to try that, only because I think the fog is dense right now. But as I'm shaping up to release episode 1 of a new role play series about the Yukon Territory, which is northern British Columbia, think that mod might, unfortunately for me, come in handy.
It's like I said, I'm only aware of it because of this series here. So it's one of those, because I've been talking to so many PC players that they're like, oh yeah, there's this mod and it's kind of a game changer for me, and all this stuff. So I was just curious if that was one that you've kind of had experience with, but it doesn't sound like it's been one that you've been utilizing at the moment.
No, I'm scared of it. I'm scared of it. But I think at some point I'm gonna have to get into that. Yep.
So what's one thing in Farming Simulator that you really wish was there but just isn't?
That's a good question. I know that the farmers market in there, it's empty. It never looks like it's full. That's a problem for me as a role player, but really it's more the sales distributions and stuff. I mean, yeah, you can go to a sell point. That's fine. I wish you could like actually start a market and like, I don't know, just kind of stock it and make sure everything was good there, and kind of work on distribution deals more, like that kind of stuff, more for realism. As far as graphics are concerned, oh my gosh, man. Okay, this is where it kind of gets a little real interesting and stupid for me, because like my mods, like if you ask me what my best mods are, they're going to be completely different. What I need in Farm Sim is, that stupid like little radial circle in the middle of the screen?
Yes.
I need that to be an option that I can turn off. Now, I've got a mod that does that now. But I need not just the HUD. I need the circle in the middle to go away. And I've thought that for so many months. It takes so much immersion out of it for me. And as I'm trying to pretend and trying to convince you that this is real, I can't have a circle in the middle of the screen or it's never going to look real. And that drives me nuts. So, my answers to these questions are going to be very different than most people's. But that stupid radial circle in the middle, I just need that one to just have a checklist, please. Please, Farmston, listen.
Modders who are out there listening to this series right now, let's get to work on removing that radial. And let's do it for all platforms.
Yeah,
Just
man.
saying.
Come on, man. I hate that thing.
Oh, it drives me up a wall. Yeah, I'm right there with you. There's nothing worse nothing worse than taking the nice, lovely screenshot, to have it for your thumbnail, and then right in the middle of it is that pesky little circle.
Well, you know how I got rid of that is because I had to show like B-roll shots and it would always have that radial circle. So what I'd do is I'd hit Shift P, which opens up the shop, and I would pretend like I was going to place something, but I would use I would move the cursor all the way to the left so that it was over the things that I had to buy. So the cursor wouldn't be there in that little viewing thing. I would then get my B-roll shot from the shop view, basically, where you're going to place something. I would get it there, and then I would crop out all of the HUD on the top. I would crop out all of the store that was all the way to the left. I would blow up that shot, and finally I would get the shot that I needed from pretending that I was going to buy a barn or something and moving it completely out of the way and getting my B-roll shot that way. So I couldn't be happier to get that circle out of here.
Like I said, as a fellow creator who plays on console, I completely understand and sympathize, to at least a small degree. Trust me, if I had a way to be able to get the HUD off of the console, I would do that in a heartbeat. If I could get the circle off the console, I'd do that in a heartbeat, because
it's rough, man.
It is rough.
Rough.
But it's little things like that just get me one step closer to just getting a PC and just going full bore into that.
Yeah, do it.
It's what everyone tells me. It's, Joel, you should go. You should do it.
Well, I ain't gonna disagree.
So, what style of farming do you prefer? Do you prefer the arables, the forestry, grass care?
I don't know why. I like mowing grass in this game, man. I don't know what it is. I guess I like mowing grass in real life too. I've got a real issue, but really, I do like mowing grass, which leads me to liking cows in this game. I think it's more because I don't really feel like I'm that great of a player, and mowing grass is something I can do, man. I mean, I've been doing that since I was 10. I can mow grass. That doesn't need a crop calendar. That's like, hey, it's long. Get out there and make it shorter. I can do that. So I try to do that more, and I end up selling a lot of silage. I end up making a lot of hay, and then I end up having cows. And that's well, this game and real life are very similar at times. But yeah, brush hogging and stuff. That's the thing I did know how to do. But getting in a combine and stuff, honestly, I think I've only actually done that in a Let's Play series, like an actual combine, like got any kinds of crops. I think twice. It's all story over here, man. It's all story. No one wants to watch me play Let's Plays. I don't want to watch myself Let's Play. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lie to you. I think I'm decent at role plays. I don't think I'm good at Let's Plays. So I don't spend my time on Let's Plays. Because it doesn't matter, and that takes me out of what maps are new and all that other stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's just I'm on this map for a really long time. I know some maps better than anybody else. UMRV, man, like I said, I almost feel like I get my mail there. Like that's a hometown for me. I've spent so much time in that map. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just like mowing grass.
So one thing that I've always said is that when I create content, I always create it where I'm happy with it. It's something that I am going to get enjoyment out of, and that I hope that, when I put it out there, that others are going to find it and enjoy it as well. Based on everything I've heard from you here tonight, it sounds like you're kind of in the same vein, is that you are making the content that you want to make, and that you're hoping that, after you send it out, that others are going to enjoy it as well. Does that seem kind of accurate?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the win. That's the boss level. You people that are listening, that are watching my stuff, you are the boss man, and I have to beat you. And the only way to beat you in my level of thinking is to entertain you, is to make you be like, have an opinion on Sam. If you have an opinion on Justin or Hurt or anybody in the characters in the series, if you just have paid attention at all, that's the sincerest form of flattery. That's the biggest compliment you can give me. And I've had people tell me like, hey, I was having a bad day today. It was really cool to like get like your video. And I mean, not to this degree, but I heard Farmer Sim talk about the guy in the Ukraine war and how that led him to just some relief, and I think as content creators, we often overlook that there's real people looking at these videos. There's real emotions in these people, and sometimes you've made somebody's day. I mean, hey, a creator's made my day before just by releasing a video, so I can definitely sympathize with that.
So that actually led me to a question I was getting ready to ask you. As you mentioned, Farmer Sim ended up telling us about the Ukraine soldier. Have you ever had any experience like that where you've gotten a message or you've had some kind of experience where it was just something that, again, it kind of leads back to something that you never expected from your channel, but something that you've kind of got ancillary, like from the content that you've created?
Yeah, I mean, there's people, like I said, there's people that have told me that I made their day better just by showing up. I do enjoy quite often just how many people continue to check out my channel. I think it's great. They're like, I can't wait until Saturday at 12, and I'm thinking that's like super humbling. Like, what for me? Well, like it's like I almost have the expression that the thumbnail in your video shows, right? Like, huh? Like, but at the same time, it's really humbling that people look at it like that, and I can understand that because it's not, oh, look at me, I'm that good. It's not that. It's I hit at the right time, I released at the right time. Maybe I'm hitting a nerve in the story that they might like or something, but at the end of the day, just making people feel better with your videos doesn't happen all the time, but oh man, when it does, it's like a grand slam in the world of baseball. Touch them all, dude. It's
Oh, absolutely.
best. Yeah.
So, what would you say is your most favorite thing to do around the farm there in Farm Sim? Like, do you do a lot of, because you keep saying that you're more of a role play, and that's you really don't necessarily follow the mold of the game itself. You basically use it as a tool to be able to kind of send off your storylines. But I presume that there's got to be ways that you either have to make money or that you have to kind of progress the story outside of or within the confines of the game itself. Is there things that you prefer to do, or am I way off base on that?
No, you're not off base. I mean, this goes with mowing, but I like to do silage and stuff. I think that's fun. In terms of animals, I enjoy working cows. Mostly just like the beefers and stuff and getting hay and stuff and delivering it to them and then taking them, and selling them and stuff is always a good thing too. So I always tend to stay with the animals. I've never been like, oh, here's a field that has what was it, an almond? I think it was like 192 acres or some craziness. Uh, I've never been that guy to be like, hey, let's tackle that with like the smallest tractor ever. Yeah, yeah. I don't know, dude. I mean, I think I might have better things to do than, do that for 5 hours. And I'm sure people have better things to do than watch me for 5 hours doing that. So it's like, I've always just focused on animals and the things that they need to make them, happy and healthy.
And what would you say would be your least favorite thing to do around on Farm Sim?
Trees. I'm sorry that I had to cut you off. I didn't mean to. The answer came out that fast. I could not even hold it in to hear your sentence complete. Trees, man. I don't want to cut them anymore. Okay. I'm tired of them. And that's why I started my new series in the Yukon in the middle of a forest. I have always been a genius, a free thinker, and this is just another example, my friend.
Oh, so you're going to be forcing yourself into a situation that you don't want to be in.
Yeah, I figure, when you don't like something, go run right straight towards it. you know?
Sometimes, so I've mentioned this a few times on my channel that I drew inspiration to start my channel from Mr. Seeley P, DJ Goham, the big ones like you were saying earlier as well.
Yep.
It's just who I was watching at the time. It's like, you know what? I think I can do that kind of thing. So it was one of those where Oh goodness. I was getting ready to say something, and now I lost it. Where did I go with this? All right. So, anyways, um, I started the channel based around watching them, and one of the things that they had said specifically, I'm thinking of Mr. Seeley P, is that some of the biggest views and some of the biggest engagement that he's gotten is when he does those things that people know that he hates doing, and it's almost like the suffer watch. You know what I mean? Have you ever heard of that
Yeah.
before?
I have not, but it totally makes sense to me in theory. Yes.
So, have you come up with a series before or a scenario before where you were just like, I'm kind of like what you're saying the Yukon series is going to be. Have you had scenarios like that in the past where you've just I'm okay. I'm just going to make myself suffer through this.
Anytime I have to plow. But no, in all seriousness, like I think that I haven't, and the only reason is because I've always gravitated to things that I know how to do in this game more because the writing process was that thing that I didn't like to do. It was that thing that I didn't know how to do that well. Tell a story is the thing that I had to develop as a muscle since I've had my channel. So since I've had that and been focused so much on that aspect of it and know for sure that I want to be a role player, I haven't really focused all the attention anywhere else but there. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to do something super hard, like cut something, like a tree or anything like when I'm playing, because that just adds more elements of, oh my goodness, now I'm over my head and now I don't want to do this anymore because just feels like a job. Doesn't even feel fun anymore. I like to learn one thing at a time and learn it really, really well and learn it really deep and then move on to the next thing. And I've really focused more on storytelling in this journey more than Farm Sim, to be honest.
No, and that makes complete sense. And that's true. Like if you're starting to do things that you're not enjoying or that you don't exceed at or don't do well, it does start to feel like a job. It does start to feel like something. It's like, I'm gonna regret even starting this project, let alone to try and figure out a way to finish it. So
Oh,
no, it
yeah.
makes total sense. So, as a content creator, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's looking to start in this field?
Yeah, know who you are. Be you. I think there's a lot of creators that quit their YouTube journey without even knowing what they would produce. They want to be a Mr. Sealy. They want to be a DJ. They want to be a squad. They want to be a Daggerwin. They're not, by doing that, by trying to do that, you're not being you. And you and your uniqueness is the best thing that your channel has. I mean, the best. Because no one's ever going to be able to have that same perspective. Nobody. Nobody has the same stories I do because they're from my head. Nobody has the same stories you would have because they're from yours. It works like that. And if you are confident and comfortable, and even if you're not, and I'm learning this more now for me, just fake it. Just pretend like you are because people will be able to hear that. I've done sales for so long, and they used to tell you, hey, smile and dial. They know you're smiling on the other end. They can hear it. And I thought they were nuts. And then I started smiling and my sales went up. It's real. It's real. And know who you are. For me, in terms of being like a creator, I've found that I don't want to do Let's Plays. I can tell myself that I'm not good at Let's Plays. I can let that go. I can easily tell you I'm not good at Let's Plays because I don't care about the Let's Plays. I'm not into that. That's not my segment of audience. My segment of audience is firmly in the role play series, and that's where I devote all my attention because I know that's the videos that are going to get the most views, and that's my best chance of getting bigger is to do role plays. And also, I just love the role plays more than the game anyway. So, it makes sense. But be who you are firmly, know who you are, and run as fast as you can to the sharpest point of that person. Know exactly where that intersection is and get there as fast as you can, and then just stay there and just develop yourself because I tell you, there are so many people that quit farm, just in farm sim even. There's so many creators I've seen quit because they can't be somebody that they want to be. When meanwhile, if they would have just been who they were, they'd probably still be here making videos and getting more people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's brilliant advice. Up until this point, I've never heard that, but that makes a ton of sense and is yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Well, that
Um,
Chinese dinner was well worth it then. That cookie, man, has that given me some good words tonight.
oh man, no, those little cookies, man, they get you out of a pinch.
Yeah, they do.
So, list some of your favorite mods for FS25.
Oh, here
Or
we
I'm sorry,
go.
actually not for 25. I'm not for 25. Let's because the well is not too deep in 25 just yet.
Oh, look, we'll do it. We'll do it for both. Like, and
Okay.
honestly, it's a very short list because it's not a John Deere name four numbers. It's not a case name seven numbers or three, a number and a letter. My favorite mods, and one of my favorite modders is Newell Gaming. He makes incredible content for role players. The textures of a propane tank will literally look like that. And when I do shots that go very close to things, that matters. Gold Gaming has got an incredible review on the mod that Newell Gaming just released. So get over there and check that out because I think a lot of people are going to want that. But there's man, I'm probably the only creator that you're going to talk to in this show where I go to a category in mods and the first one's decorations. That's all I care about. I drive these guys nuts in this chat asking people. And yeah, thanks, Nacho. It's the Mega Pack that I'm talking about by Newell Gaming. I drive these people nuts. And I'm talking LFG, Rambo, Farm Simu, Auto Sim. I drive them nuts by being like, "Oh, the decoration. Oh, is there a deco? Is there a new deco?" And they're all like, "What?" And I'm just, never mind me, guys. I'm just over here looking at decorations. Did you know that they have a new water, like like how you'd water your garden? Like they have a new one. People are like, I don't give a flying. Who cares? What are you talking about? They're like, go sit at the other table. Like the big boys are talking. Go sit at the kids' table, dude. And I'm like, all right, that's where I go with my decorations, and I play with them there.
So you mentioned earlier how you really like certain maps, specifically the what the Missouri, not Missouri,
Oh, the
Mississippi.
UMRV.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
UMRV. Again, not a PC player, so I'm still learning these things.
No, you're good, man.
But you mentioned maps like that, and you say that they're, part of the appeal is that they're very highly detailed and that they have big towns that allow you to kind of get your immersion, to a level that you want it to be. Are there ever times where you have gone into these maps that you have set up your role plays and done that, and you've used the decoration pack to really kind of overhaul a kind of a specific location to create a scene that wouldn't have been kind of naturally there in the map?
This is the first time this new roleplay series, and I mean, really, this sounds like hype, and I guess it is, but I mean, I really firmly believe that this new roleplay series I make is going to be the best roleplay series I've had in 2 years. I've been so focused on stories and writing stories, and I haven't been worried about editing as much and sound design I wasn't really aware of. And sorry, cough button. And the thing is, like, now I know a little bit more and I'm taking more time. I'm not trying to hit a weekly deadline like I do with the farm. So I'm taking more time doing this. And in that, I am starting a role play series on a map called the Backwoods. I didn't come up with this territory. I just looked at the description. They say that it's from the Yukon. Cool. I'm game. Let's do it then. There's not a town. Now, it's hard to find a town, a firm town, a proper town in one of these like forestry maps, right? So I have to make a town. Well, this series sets place on, it's called, I made up the town name. It's called Lost Anchor. And it is an old shipping yard in an old shipping town. And I made the entire town from scratch. And I I don't know how amazing it is. I don't know how great it is, but that was my first attempt to ever do it from scratch, literally from scratch. Everything except for the dock. That is really not much, but I placed placements in there. Thanks, Newell Gaming, for all that. And that was my first venture doing that, and I had a great time doing that. I thought that that was really fun. It gave me a lot more control over the narrative, control over the town. And since this town only has 15 people, I was able to write a backstory for every single person, and that will come into play in every episode. So, throughout the series. So I really enjoyed the process of creating that town and then knowing the backstory I was going to put into each and putting little details into, a bar or something if it's there. Like, oh, that light's going to be used for a story that I have an idea for. So it gives me a lot more control.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm certainly hyped about it. That sounds like it's going to be a good series.
Thanks,
So,
man.
one final question for this segment. If you had the ability to make a map, let's say you had all the prerequisites, all the skills necessary to make, a map that you could live up to, it'd be just everything that you would ever want it to be, and it was based off of a real life location, where would that map be and why?
Well, I think everybody's obvious answer is like my house, right? So like I'm gonna have to say that like I live very close to Middleburg, New York. That's a map that is on PC. That was very close. I'd probably take Middleburg and make it real, because it's not as accurate as it could be. So I'd probably do that, or I would make some kind of there was this map where and I don't know if this is the location, but there was a map where I said I liked mowing grass and stuff, where there was like a contractor mod embedded in the map where you could mow grass. I think this was like on FS 19 or 22. I can't remember. I think it was 19. You could mow grass and you would get paid per like lawn or something like that. And I can't remember what that map was, but I always thought that the side missions in that were pretty cool. So something like more real landscaper based too would be pretty fun. But I really just enjoy all of the maps that have come out so far. There are a couple that are very close to my hometown. I mean, very. And like I said, Middleburg's a drive for me, and I'm not saying a long one. So it's where I used to live. So it's pretty nice to go into that map. But I would make some edits there.
Okay. And by chance, is the map that you're talking about called New Lands?
No, but I do love that map. I have created so many towns on that map. It's crazy. I just make towns. But no, it wasn't. I don't remember what map that was, but it had like residential houses. Maybe I'm nuts, but I think it was. I really do remember playing that. So who knows? And if it doesn't exist, that's my answer. But I'm pretty sure it exists somewhere out there.
All right, so that is it for our second segment there. Now let's go ahead and move back to the audience there and see if they have any more questions. Again, big shout out to Dust Money for sending this one over. This one's from PA Plowboy. It says, okay, serious question. What's your favorite model tractor, real life and in game?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to go with a personal one. The first tractor I ever owned in real life was a small little Farmall 656 at about 66 horse. It was as big as I needed on my farm. It was a red tractor. I loved it. It was the first, like I said, the first tractor that I ever broke, that I ever tried to fix, that I learned everything on. So, I mean, sentimental. It's kind of like asking a high schooler or something, hey, what's your first car, right? Like, it's my first tractor. So I don't need the specs to be crazy or great. I had a couple Ford 8Ns as well. And those are, I mean, they lasted forever, so which is great. But I guess the 656, a similar Farmall in game, and that's one of the only tractors that I downloaded, so I still have that. Kind of just the trip down memory lane, especially from first person perspective. It really jogs the memory and be like, wow, I remember what this looked like, because it's so real.
I gotcha. And I'm just going through here one last time to make sure I'm not missing anything. Let's see. Let's see. Gold Gaming, thank you so much for the gifted membership. Greatly appreciate it. And we also have Rambo Hacker Gaming with a $5 super chat. Says, heard there is a mod out to remove just the circle. I'll send to you the mod link, making it question, so get read, LOL.
Oh yeah, he did that so cover. Yo, thank you, man. I appreciate it, Rambo. I really do. Really great guy, that dude. So always helping me. I always joke with him. You're my mod man. So let me know, and he always does, dude. He deserves a really good Christmas gift.
That's awesome. Yes, thank you, Rambo Hacker Gaming. Greatly appreciate that. I'm not seeing anything else in the chat. Let's see. No, I think we're good. I think we got all the questions. If I missed anything, feel free to type it in really fast. Wow. There we go.
There you go.
All right.
You got
Now
it, man.
I know we're going to get there. Now we're on to our last segment here. This is called That's a Silage Wrap. This is where we're going to start closing it out and let everybody know, oh, I almost dropped my laptop. There we go. We're going to start closing things out. Like I said, if you want your questions asked before we kind of close things out, go ahead and hit it in the chat. Make sure you use the double question mark, just so that way I'm able to find it just that much easier. So, you kind of let us know some of your future plans with the Yukon-based series there. Do you have anything else that you have going on besides that, or?
No, I mean I got the farm going on, and then I got another role play series, the Lost Anchor one. But man, when you're doing role play series, it's really tough. I've never really done two at the same time. I wasn't really sure if the viewer would be able to separate it if they watched both. Like, you get kind of confused. But it's really just me that's kind of getting confused. So I have to like take one day and be like, this is the farm day. The next day it's just the Lost Anchor day. The next day it's just the farm, because I'll start getting confused myself. And I do see Gold Gaming real quick. Herds wrestling Mount Rushmore. How many people are on Mount Rushmore? Jesus, I'm gonna fail a history class. Is it 4 or 5?
Ooh, I think it's 4, isn't it?
So I'm gonna go with Bret Hart as 1. Never heard anybody. That's perfect. Shawn Michaels, one of the best wrestlers, 2. Ric Flair, one of the greatest of all time. Undertaker, one of the best gimmicks of all time. And I really do not like this man at all. But I gotta say that it's either a Hulk Hogan or a Vince McMahon who helped popularize the sport into what it is today, so that so many people could get paid. However, they're not. I'm not in love with where they're at in their life with 2025, but I do respect the 80s and the early 90s and what they did for wrestling. So that is where I'm at. And if I threw one extra person in there, then hey, just give me a sledgehammer and I can hit somebody in the forehead. We can knock that thing right off that mountain. We can just have 4 down there instead of 5. But that is my answer, Gold. I seen you ask it so many times, I had to throw that in there and get you your answer, bud.
That's awesome. All right, so I don't see any other questions that's gonna keep this going. I really hope that you enjoyed yourself. I had an absolute blast here tonight.
Dude, we did it. We did. I didn't know if we'd get to the end of it. I really didn't. And only because I thought that I would say something too dumb where your entire audience would leave. And unfortunately for me, and very fortunately for you, some of them have stayed. And I thank them for that as well. I really appreciate that. But no, you really, let me give you your flowers, because I really am a firm believer in giving everybody the flowers when they can still smell them, not at their funeral. And the thing is here, you do so good at just showing other creators, giving them a voice, telling them that, it's so easy to just disconnect from viewers at times when you're making videos, not when you're releasing them. That's easy. You connect with them very well, but throughout the process of not releasing them, sometimes you forget that, man, this is real people, and it's just you're bringing a lot of interest to this community, and you've introduced me, quite frankly, to a lot of good people. So really appreciate what you're doing here, Dave. I really do. Everybody does, and you're really doing a great job at it. So continue doing that.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. Like I said, I've had an absolute ball with this series. Getting to meet so many different people from so many different walks of life, hearing all the stories, like tonight, the whole wrestling aspect, your whole kind of back history, like all that stuff, getting to learn like and hear all this stuff. Yeah, it's something I wouldn't trade for anything at this point, because I'm just having so much fun with it. And like I said, this is a series that I want to keep going. I keep wanting to meet new people, keep wanting to introduce, as many people who want to find them as possible. So thank you. I really appreciate the kind words, and I really appreciate you coming on here tonight and having a chat with me.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the opportunity, and the words were very well deserved and earned. So, no thank you needed. I'm going to send that right back at you. You deserve it and earned it all. Thank you for doing what you do.
Oh, not a problem, not a problem. Now, this is where I go ahead and start, throwing the pitch out there to everyone in the audience. If there's anybody out there that you want me to do this series with, whether they're a YouTuber such as the Herd here, Twitcher, a map maker, mod maker, whatever the case may be, whatever their connection to the Farm Sim universe is, feel free to let me know in any of my socials. I will do my best to reach out to them. If you have a means of actually reaching out to them, go ahead and let me know what that connection is, so I'd be able to reach them as easily as possible. Like I said, I'm trying to get a hold as many people as I possibly can. There's nobody that's too big or too small. Want to be able to get everybody in here as possible, because we all have a story to tell. We all have something that we want to say, and that's the whole point of this series, is to kind of, like the Herd said, is to put a face or a voice to the person behind the scenes. So I want to thank every single one of you so very, very much for coming out here tonight. I hope everybody had an absolute blast here tonight, just like I did. Herd, thank you so very much for coming out here tonight and hanging out with us. I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up here. If you wouldn't mind holding on for just a second for after the outro, and I'll chat with you afterwards.
All righty, man. Thank you.
All right. Well, like I said, I hope everybody enjoyed it. If you did, please show me by liking, sharing, subscribing, following, commenting, doing all the things the algorithms enjoy you doing. This shows you're engaged with this channel, enjoying the content. And that being said, I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Take care.